Welcome to YouTube. I don't know how I say that. uh, we'll be discussing Fulcinelli tonight. The Fulcinelli and the mysteries, lay mystery of the cathedral. Uh, these a book. Yeah, the well, I guess. Well, we don't really need to discuss the inscription too much. I mean, we've discussed it before, but well, I think I'm gonna skip the introduction. We do not need any introduction.
Okay, hello all. Clint messed up the intro, so I will do it for you. Today, we will go into the wonderful book we did a few weeks ago. It's about science and who controls it and protect it.
Of alchemy.
Alchemy. Yeah.
Okay.
We will start with this is French, Le Mystère de Cathédrale. Also, I don't speak French. It means, why are you laughing?
I'm just stoned. The mystery of the cathedral. Uh,
Right.
it sounded better than how I would have pronounced it. So I
Okay,
think this is where
start
the book
with,
starts.
with the um, of the perspective of the person who wrote this book, and maybe you should say who wrote it, Clint.
Yeah,
This
Fulcanelli. Uh,
Falconelli,
yeah.
and he's telling about his childhood and blah blah blah. So now we can go to the good stuff.
Okay. Well, I think it does start. That is starting off with the. We've got. I've got to read this. Okay.
Yeah.
The strongest impression of my early childhood. Oops. I was 7 years old. An impression of which I still retain a vivid memory was the emotion aroused in my young heart by the sight of the Gothic cathedral. I was immediately enraptured by it. I was in an ecstasy, struck with wonder, unable to tear myself away from the attraction of the marvelous, from the magic of such splendor, such immensity, such intoxication, expressed by this more divine than human work. Since then, the vision has been transformed, but the original impression remains. And if the custom has modified the spontaneous and moving character of my first contact, I've never acquired a defense against a sort of rapture when faced with those beautiful picture books erected in the closes in our closes and raising to heaven their pages of sculptured stone. In what language, by what means could I express my admiration? How could I show my gratitude to those silent masterpieces, those masters without words and without voice? How could I show the thankful which fills my heart for everything they have taught me to appreciate? It's awfully emotional to recognize and to discover. Without words and without voice, what am I saying? If those stone books have their sculptured letters, their phrases in bas relief, and their thoughts in pointed arches, nevertheless, they speak also through the imperishable spirit which breathes from their pages. They are clearer than their younger brothers, the manuscripts and the printed books. They have the advantage over them in being translatable only in a single absolute sense. It is a simple It is simple in expression, naive and picturesque in interpretation, a sense purged of subtleties and illusions, of literary ambiguities. The language of stones spoken by this new art, as J.F. Coif's, oops, wrong button. J.F. Coif's, where is that? Says with much truth, is at the same time clear and sublime, speaking alike to the humblest and to the most cultured heart. What a moving language it is, this Gothic of stones. The language wait, a language so moving indeed that the songs of Orlando de Lassus or Palestrina, the organ of music and of Handel or Frescobaldi, the orchestral works of Beethoven. There's a lot of examples going on here. Or Cherubini, which the greater, which is the greater of all these. The simple and severe Gregorian chant, perhaps the only real chant there is, do nothing but add to the emotions which the cathedrals itself has already aroused. Woe to those who do not like the Gothic architecture, or at least let us pity them as those who are without heart. that was.
When it comes to me, I don't like the architecture of the cathedrals. It is
Oh, you
so.
don't?
We have one in my city where I'm living.
Oh, yeah. Well, you might have to
So
hear what this guy has to say.
he declares me as without heart. And as
Well, don't take
long
it personal.
story short, okay, depends. Some people say it's a cool art, gothic art. I don't like it. But when it comes to how it's built, it is, of course, a great piece of architecture, of a great
Yeah.
work. So a wonderful
Well,
building. And what he is wrong, uh, these buildings are not silent. When you are in it, when you are speaking
mm,
very, uh, um,
it's got a lot of acoustics.
yeah, yeah, you can be silent in this building when you are whispering or something. It is very loud. And I know that in the United States, the bells were removed of the churches or cathedrals. In Germany, it is not the case, but they are ringing every 15 minutes. And I don't know
Hmm.
if it was the case when this guy was living, but I think it was. And this is a very, very loud sound. I
Oh,
agree
yeah.
with him that is the artwork is for this time. And the cathedral, the Gothic cathedral we have in our city was allegedly built in 1338, something like that.
Wait, 1338.
Yeah, it's 1380s or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
1300. And they finished it 1850. They built
Oh,
it over
you live
500 years.
you live by the cathedral that has the change in the stonework or something,
The
discoloration halfway up.
highest church building on the world. Before this church in Spain was built. The
Interesting.
Ulmer Münster was the highest church building in the world.
Oh yeah, yes. One of
Yeah.
the measurements are usually how does it go? Like 365 and 364
Oh,
or
I don't
something
know.
for the feet of height or something. And then
Oh,
like
it is. Oh, I have to look it up. I,
well they
I
have like a encoded
oh, I have
solar
no
and lunar
idea.
calendar measurements in the cathedrals, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe I should go into it more.
Uh,
What I don't like is the gargoyles everywhere.
well, that's why this book's because it's all a symbol story of surrealism and um
Yeah, and he says when you don't like it, you are without a heart.
Well,
Thank
don't take
you.
it personal.
Anyways, go ahead. I feel offended or insulted by
uh,
he hurt
Fulcinelli better watch his back.
my feelings and
Okay, so
think about my mental health balance.
uh,
Go ahead.
okay, to continue, the Gothic cathedral, that sanctuary of tradition, science, and art, should not be regarded as a work dedicated solely to the glory of Christianity, rather a vast consecration of ideas, of tendencies, of popular beliefs, a perfect whole to which we can refer without fear whenever we should penetrate the religious, secular, philosophic, or social thoughts of our ancestors. The
I disagree without fear. Go to the Notre Dame
well,
in
it's gonna
Paris.
get good in like 3 pages. You're gonna know the part.
I think it is the most frightening place on fucking planet Earth.
It's
Cathedrals,
probably haunted.
catacombs, and it is frightening. It is strange.
It's a
And in
soul
my,
collector. No.
I have a different opinion than this Raconelli guy. But it, art is
All right.
okay.
Let's
Go ahead.
to continue. Who's that? The bold vaulting, the nobility of form, the grandeur of proportions, the beauty of execution combined to make a cathedral an original work of incomparable harmony, but not one, it seems, concerned entirely with religious observance. If the tranquility of the ghostly, multicolored light of the tall stained glass windows and the silence combined as an invitation to prayer, predisposing us to meditation, the trappings, on the other hand, the structure and the ornamentation, and their extraordinary power, release and reflect less edifying sensations, a more secular and quite bluntly an utmost pagan spirit, beside the fervent inspiration, balm of a strong faith, the 1,001 preoccupations of the great heart of the people can be discerned there. The declaration of its conscience, of its will, the reflection of its thought, the most complex, abstract, essential, and autocratic. I'm not sure what he just said.
He contradicted himself, fearless, but then ghostly and meditation. He is the perfect useful idiot, isn't he? To
Well,
get because
so let's go
it
on.
was it can be used for good or evil, and mostly it is used for evil. And how to hypnotize people to get in meditation in a ghostly church without fear, and they come out with a wired mindset.
Well,
No, it does,
well,
don't they?
so I mean, it's possible. The but to go on.
Very likely possible.
Okay.
But interesting, this guy. But I'm just an heartless
Uh,
uh,
okay.
idiot. So
Uh,
go ahead.
okay. If people go to the building and take part in religious services, if they enter it following a funeral cortege, or the joyful procession of a high festival, they also throng there in many other circumstances. Political meetings are held there and under the aegis of the bishop. The price of grain and livestock is discussed there. The
Wait a
drapers,
second. And he is not suspicious about this?
well, I think he's.
Sounds as
It's
like a
starting off really
conspiracy.
slow. It's starting off really slow. Okay, where's that?
As I said, the
Uh,
perfect useful idiot.
the drapers fix the price of their cloth there. People hurry there to seek comfort, to ask for advice, to beg for pardon. There is scarcely a guild which does not use the cathedral for the passing out ceremony of its new journeyman. Scarcely a guild which does not meet there once a year under the protection of its patron saint. During the great medieval period, it was the scene of other ceremonies, very popular with the masses. There was a feast of fools, or of the wise, a processional hermetic fair. What? Did you say
Feast
something?
of Fools.
Yeah, well, I think that's the name of one of the
This was
pictures.
his favorite feast.
Well, usually when the secret society members have something italicized in the letters, that means
Feast
it's
of useful idiots. Go on.
what's
It's
some,
very cool.
well, you might be accurate on that. So, full of the wise, a processional hermetic fair, which used to set out from the church with its pope, its dignitaries, its enthusiasts, its crowds, common people of the Middle Ages, noisy, frolicsome, jocular, bursting with vitality, enthusiasm, and spirit, spread through the town. What a comedy it all was, with an ignorant clergy thus subjected to the authority of a disguised science and crushed under the weight of undeniable superiority. So notice how it's got science capitalized. Also, wise above is capitalized. So is Feast of Fools. So usually when stuff is capitalized, it has to do deity. Uh, the Feast of Fools, with its triumphant chariot of Bacchus, drawn by a male and female centaur, naked as the god himself, and accompanied by the great Pan, an obscene carnival taking possession of a sacred building. Nymphs and naiads emerging from the bath, gods of Olympus minus their clouds and minus their clothes. Juno, Diana, Venus, and Latona converging on the cathedral to hear mass. And what a mass! It was composed by the initiate Pierre de Corbel, Archbishop of Sens, modeled on the pagan rite. Here, a congregation of the year 2020 uttered 1220 uttered the bacchanal cry of joy. Evo, Evo, and scholars in ecstasy replied, Haec est clara dies clararum clara dierum.
This
Haec
is Latin. Haec
est.
est clara dies clararum clara dierum.
Hmm.
Means here is what is clara? Uh, dies days?
The donkey.
Gods. The donkey. Clararum clara dierum. What the fuck? I learned it. Heck is here. Heck est here is.
Here is
Yeah, heck is here. Heck est here is. The fast, the gods, dies, festarum, festa, dierum, to give?
to
Oh,
give. I'm gonna ask the grok.
yeah, I would say the same as the Chat GPT, the AI.
Hmm.
Haec est clara dies clararum clara dierum.
Um, this is a Chartres Cathedral. I was gonna ask grok. That's what I was gonna do. Take
But it's
photo.
fake.
Well, I should be able to have it translate that.
I don't know if it's important. Something with here is whatever. The best of the best. The divine of the divines. The godly, whatever. Something.
Okay. Well, I got it on the
The
Google
text.
Translate. Or
They
here it
have
is.
the feast of the fools
I
and
got
the
it. I got it.
donkey. Oh, the
This
donkey comes in.
this is the
Interesting.
bright day. This is the bright day. This is the bright one of bright days. Then it says, "This is a festive day, the festive one of festive days." Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
the
Okay,
best of the best, of course.
so it goes on. Yeah. Then there was also the feast of the donkeys. Donkey.
The group spirit.
Well, I don't know if this is gonna. This is about what Max Heindel was talking about. I mean, it's. I think there is some.
Overlays, you have to admit. The
Well,
science and the Sphinx and the spaceships under the Sphinx in the other books. There are maybe from the same secret society. The Rosicrucian.
well, there was a. Well, it's interesting. No, no. This one is this donkey is talking about some sort of stuff having to do with uh what's his name, Alvin Boyd Kuhn. In the book The Lost Light, he speaks of the donkey and some sort of donkey lore that was lost, uh having to do
Was
with
it the
Jesus.
Jesus? Yeah, the
The Jesus
nine
donkey.
pointed star. Oh,
there's, there's the Jesus donkey out there.
oh, here we are. Right? It sounds very Rosy Crucian.
Well, no, because there's some other story where it's like in the Old Testament where it's like the donkey was somehow saved people or something. The donkey was like some kind of a incarnation of some kind of a female angel or something. Uh,
100%.
it's really weird though because it's like
That a donkey is not the what was it the
well,
angelic female.
you've seen the most ancient graffiti of a man on a crucifix. The head is a donkey.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course. How can you not see it?
well, I think the Romans were profane. The Romans didn't understand the secret, and that whatever secret it was lost. Um,
I, to be honest, I don't understand the Rosicrucians quote unquote secrets neither.
well, I can tell you their secrets.
It was funny. What did you say a few minutes ago? The donkey is the
Oh,
fe-
some kind
the
of feminine angel or something that in the Old Testament that the donkeys saved the Jews. Uh,
huh? What?
yeah, because the
But
donkey.
they don't.
Well, well, it's a
They,
weird story because in the Old Testament there's some evil warlord that was uh gonna like do something bad or something to the Hebrews, and
uh-huh.
and then the donkey was somehow allured the
Okay. And
it's a weird story.
how do they back up their story? How do
Well,
they back it up?
well, the heathen, the donkey allured the heathen to.
Come on,
No,
this
I'm
is,
not making this up.
I believe you. I witnessed through all these stupid books. One of
No,
the
this
books.
is Old
Sorry,
Testament. I'm talking Old
I'm
Testament
just
stuff.
a heartless idiot. Yeah, it's so
Well, I
cool
mean, I
again.
was talking about.
Donkey, the a female angel and group spirit and whatnot. Go ahead.
Well, no, that's not the same donkey thing. That's
But
about like genetics.
I think all these guys came out of the same secret society.
Oh no,
because writing
this
style
is
is the same.
this book is from early 1900s France. The Max Heindel is from 1800s Germany. That
And how
Max
long
Heindel. Well,
do
I
they
think
exist?
Max Heindel. I think that he was a Nazi. I mean, he looks like
Yeah,
a
but
Nazi.
they all came out of the Rosicrucians,
Well,
or the
that seemed to be like a tainted doctrine. It was the
they the
original
Rosicrucians
Rosicrucian doctrine.
are higher than the Freemasons, and even the Freemasons writing the writings make sense to admit their worldview. Okay, you can see it that way; it makes sense. But
Yeah,
the Rosicrucians writing makes no sense, and they don't back it up. They're
yeah.
playing. Okay,
Well, back to
anyways.
that Bible story. Well, I guess we don't have to go over that, but there's another story about, the story of yeah, it's another Bible story. Sodom and Gomorrah is getting destroyed, and then the dude's riding back with his he's walking away with his family or some shit, and then he's got the donkey with him, and then the lady, he says, "Don't look back," and then the lady looks back, and then fucking she turns into a pillar of salt.
Yeah,
You know that
that's true.
story?
This I know, yeah. This is
So
alleged.
then, there that story was relative to there's another story of some kind of great destruction which involved a donkey, whether that was some kind of biblical story or something. How did that go? Ah, damn it! I think I
Oh,
need a
wait a
cigarette.
second, but I don't know that there was a donkey with them when they went out of
Didn't
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Jesus ride in on a donkey in one of the stories?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember what the there's something weird about it that I can't remember. Uh,
yeah. When he goes to Jerusalem, he is riding on a donkey, but that's all. There's no
yeah.
meaning. Maybe it's the meaning that he's a normal. He want present himself as a
Let's.
normal guy, a poor, dedicated to the poor people. I'm one of you, and not
Yeah.
an
I mean,
priesthood.
the
This
talking
is
donkey thing is
not
because in
riding on a proud horse.
well,
A donkey
well,
is more
in the
dedicated.
Old Testament story, the donkey talked, and that it's very bizarre. Not the Eddie Murphy version or whatever, the Shrek.
What is the Eddie Murphy version?
I've never actually seen that, so. But okay, so
Okay,
uh, the donkey,
the
uh,
donkey.
sorry,
Oh,
well,
wait a second. Maybe it's the Don key,
no, well,
the key of the Don
okay, better continue.
on the key. The key is the key.
Damn it, I'm gonna turn the AC on real quick. Be right back.
I make the Jordan Maxwell here. The D on the key. It is not about a donkey, it's about a key, isn't it? Clint? Where's he going? Okay, we go on in the text. Thus, our glorious Christ bearer was celebrated in a special service, which praised him in words recalling the epistle.
Wait,
As
did I miss the hoof part? The
don't
hoof.
interrupt me while I
Sorry,
read.
sorry.
You are rude to a heartless idiot like me.
What?
How dare you? We go by ignoring the host at the Essene. What is Essene? I
Okay.
don't know. Is this the need power which was worth to the church the gold of Arabia, the incense and the myrrh of the land of Dalba.
Hmm.
Priests,
Mirror.
unable to understand
Well,
this parody,
yeah, parody.
to accept it in silence. His head back under the ridicule poured out by these mystifiers of the land of Saba or
Or
Kaba.
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 Huh. Yeah.
That is the Kabbalists themselves. Point. End of sentence.
Hmm.
Pause and think about it. What do we
Okay.
have?
Well, so it's Feast of the Donkey. The triumphal entry, the sacred archway of Master Elaboran, whose hoof or Sabbat once trod the streets of Jerusalem. Thus, the glorious Christ bears, so praising him, this asinine power which was worth to the church gold of Arabia, and since Saba. This is definitely some complex shit.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, the priest, blah blah, ridicule poured
The
out by
daughter
these
of
mystifiers.
the Prince of Arabia, and she married some to the west. And
Hmm.
the land of Saba is where the
Ah,
the Muslims are going. What is it? Mecca. Mecca is this.
hmm.
Yeah, where they're going around this black cube.
Oh, yeah.
Mecca.
Yeah, but it's saying Kabbalist. That's Kabbalah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, unless it's referring to a cabal.
Kaaba is cube. The black cube Kaaba.
Saba. Well, I mean, they could just be
This is
talking
in
about the
Mecca.
Middle East, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Uh, like a confirmation, blah blah, found graven by the chisels of the master image maker of the time. Indeed, Witkowski writes that in the nave of the Notre Dame of Strasbourg, the bas relief on one of the capitals of the great pillars represents a satirical procession in which a pig may be seen carrying a holy soup, followed by donkeys dressed in priestly clothes, and monkeys bearing various religious attributes, altogether with a fox enclosed in a shrine. It
What is
is.
the holy soup? That's a typical Rosicrucian trap.
Well, this is
What about?
this is
Why
alchemy.
bring it out of nothing?
Well, hold on.
Have you
Remember,
ever
well,
seen
hold on.
carrying
Remember,
soup?
remember. Magic is not to be understood.
Ah,
It is
right.
only to be taught.
Oh, you're right, master, my lord. My mistake, my bad. Ah, how could I
Also, the book's teaching us the
Thank
magic
you
of
for
alchemy, quote unquote.
now.
Okay. Oh,
Ask any stupid questions anymore.
it seems
Apologize
like a
for interrupting.
yeah. Well, okay. So, well, no, I guess I mispronounced it. It's not it's not soup. It's stoop.
Oh, right.
Okay, so
No.
that makes it a little bit less funny.
What is a stoop? I don't know this word. Can you translate it? What is
Hmm.
what is a stoop?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stoop.
No, a holy stoop.
Holy stoop. Basin, holy water located at the entrance. So it's the dish where the holy water is. So the holy water is on the back. It's held by a pig.
How does a oh, sorry.
The
I
pig
know.
holds the pig's being followed by donkeys dressed
Uh-huh.
in priests. It sounds like a Disney movie. Monkeys bearing various
Sounds like Farm of the
religious.
Animal Farm.
Yeah. uh, let's see. Message fox enclosed in the shrine. Yeah, the fox thing. That's.
The
Uh,
fox is a student of masonry who is initiated but not has ended his initiation. This is a fox, a
yeah.
young student of masonry.
Well, so
It,
then it goes on.
maybe in this context, it can mean something different. Don't ask.
Yeah, in
Just take it.
the procession of
I
the fox, or the feast of the donkey. So the procession of the fox, wait, is the feast of the donkey.
100%. Here,
Okay.
the pig with the holy stew proof it.
Um. Let's see. So what is this? Illuminated in folio
We may
40.
add that in identical scenes is illuminated in folio 40 of manuscripts number
Five
5000
five.
in the bibliothèque. In the bibliothèque?
Okay, let me see if I can find this.
How does he know so exactly?
uh,
Is he
uh,
is he in a heart of a secret society called the Rosicrucians? Hmm?
well, I think he's in the order of alchemists.
Or something like that, yeah. I don't know the order of alchemists, but it sounds the same or a chapter of it. Because I don't know if the Rosicrucians even were a secret society. I think it was a movement with uh, with
Um,
many chapters.
okay, it says 50 55. Okay, I think I can find it. Hold on.
How does he know?
Oh, damn, it doesn't go that back that far. Uh, hmm.
With the holy stoop and the donkeys. Yeah, you are right. It is like a circus.
Yeah. Okay, so next, what do we got here? Finally, there were some bizarre events in which
Wait,
a
this was the feast of the donkey, right? Or the
yeah,
feast of fools?
the feast of the fox, feast of the donkey. Let me see what it said up here.
At the feast of the donkey.
Feast. There was a feast of the fools, or the wise. Hermetic
Ah, feast
fair.
of fools.
It's Pope. It's dignity. So is the pig the Pope? It's dignitaries. Okay, so let's go back before I forget where we're at. Okay, finally there was some bizarre event in which a hermetic in which a hermetic meaning, often a very precise one, was discernible. These were held every year, with the Gothic Church as their theater. Examples uh, include the flagellation of Alleluia, in which the choir boys energetically whipped their humming tops, sabbats, down the aisles of the cathedral Langres. That means shoes or hoofs. Sabbats was hoofs. Procession of the Shrovetide Carnival, the devilry of
Ah, here we
Chumon.
are.
The damn it, I gotta take a leak real quick. I'll be right back. I'll hurry.
What are you doing? Okay, the
I use the
carnival.
bathroom.
Yeah, what does the carnival has to do with a church, with a cathedral? Okay, we don't know what it was used for, what it was used when it was built, because, in my opinion, we have been lied when it comes to our history and who built this, have had built these buildings and the purpose. Mm, maybe it didn't have to do necessarily with God, to praise God, so to say, what the Catholic Church is claiming was to do. Maybe it was just built for healing, because sound, color, art, this is magic. Yeah, this is magic, and there are the seven sciences, and the seven sacred sciences are about music and frequencies and colors. And this is the real magic. And maybe these buildings were built for the common people back the time in the medieval times, who were not really bad, how were told. Maybe it was very really golden, and these were really healing places. And why not to make a party there when all people are healthy and um in a good shape and
All right.
good social, good, have good mood, society is healthy and happy. Why
Yeah.
not?
Uh, let's see. Yeah, that was a good monologue. Uh,
A little heartless.
uh, well, so
No, I really agreed with him because these buildings are really great when it comes to sound and color and
yeah.
light. And it is really amazing,
Hmm.
the architecture and how it works. It is not only for the eye to look beautiful. Okay, this is of course
Oh
not
yeah.
everyone's favor, but when it comes to its function,
Well,
no doubt, this
so
is
these are all some kind of symbols. That's why it's italicized. Also, these symbols there's illustrations in this book as well, pictures, which will help us further
mm,
understand. Uh, and
his
so
point of view.
I can't
But
remember
when
who
you
the
initiate of a higher order, then just people understand what he's meaning. When we are thinking about pigs with holy stoop and what is going on here, this is symbolic
yeah,
language, yeah. And
yeah.
when you are from the same order, you know exactly what they are talking about. And
Yeah.
it's not talking about bad intentions. It is like how they spoke in their inner circle, how they named it. Because you must know, before people wrote things down, they had to speak with symbols.
Well, Cooper thought that this book was really interesting because that there was a whole thing like quoting verbatim from this book, but yet they never said what the quotes were from, and that Cooper knew what it was from because he's read the book. And he's like, why didn't they just say what the book quote was from? Why would they hide that from the public? Why wouldn't they not want people to read?
Mhm.
Why would they want to hide the title of the book? I'm sure I want a cigarette. Uh,
Yeah, and what was his answer?
well, he was killed 3 episodes after he started talking about it, so nobody knows. That's what I've
Okay,
been.
but stay positive. Maybe back the time when these people wrote,
Oh,
they
Cooper.
think
Uh,
about it, that somebody will read it outside their circle. And when you are writing to your brother in your secret society, you don't think about I have to explain what it means. Yeah?
Yeah. Damn it, I can't find my lighter.
When I'm reading American newspaper, they don't think, oh, Germans are reading it. We have to write it as well in German and other languages. No, when you want to understand it, you have to learn the language. Or nowadays using ChatGPT, okay? We have help nowadays
Yeah.
technically.
Well,
Yeah.
so
A few years ago, you have to learn the language when you have to un want to understand what is written in a simple newspaper.
yeah.
Because this, yeah, it's up to you, learn it. And this is
Yeah.
maybe the same when you want to understand what the symbolic language means.
Hmm.
You have to read a lot of their books and
Oh,
it's out
sorry.
of the or maybe there's some dude out
Well,
there
so
who is explaining
I
more.
wanted to add
Clint can explain it. He is
well, so once we learn what's in this book fully, that we will be able to determine other surrealisms, uh, other symbolic stories and their deception, because it's like
ja, genau. Okay.
this type of magic is deception, but it's not necessarily magic at all. But it's this the art of illusion, where the story is in the open, but no one can see it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, I wonder if it's talking about baseball right here. A strange ball game was played inside, or maybe football, or hmm.
Baseball.
So the Mad Mother,
I
I
think
think,
they
is
were
a,
playing American football. 100%.
yeah. Uh,
Until 1538, when the custom died out, a strange ball game was played. Maybe there was an invasion of Americans who played football and nobody could make sense of it. Anyways, go ahead.
well, so yeah, I think this Infantry de Joannes. I don't know what that means in French. Uh,
Infanterie is the army on land.
oh, okay.
Cavalry is on horse. Infantry is military on the land. And
Yeah,
the I don't know.
I think the Mad Mother is the. I think it's what they based that cartoon, the Alice in Wonderland character. The
Okay.
Queen of Hearts or whatever. Uh,
Thought more about the
and then
Black Madonna.
then the Feast of Fools. The Feast of Fools would be the Mad Hatter. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and the
Ah, okay.
I think they rebranded the story. They're always doing that.
Yeah, this is clear. The kind of the ball game, but what's the strange ball game about?
Okay, so
Tennis?
Cathedral. Well, perhaps the strange ball game was the
Tennis?
Sephiroth and the spheres.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think symbolically enough.
Well, I didn't think of
Please
that till
don't
just now.
the
Okay,
cottage.
so the
Okay, go ahead.
cathedral was a hospitable refuge of all unfortunates. The sick who came to Notre Dame. Did you already read this part or no? Sick who came to Notre Dame to Paris to pray to God.
Notre Dame in Paris to pray to God for relief from their sufferings, used to stay until they were cured. Cured?
Yeah.
Cured? Okay.
They were allotted a chapel lit by 6 lamps near the second door, and there they spent the night. There the doctors would give their consultations round the holy water stoup at the very entrance of the basilica. It was there
Um,
too that the faculty of medicine which left the
wait, not
university.
so fast. We have to think about it. You know this stuff.
Okay, so six
We
lamps
get
by the
smart.
door.
We look what
Shout out to
yeah,
Donut since you're using his phrase.
yeah. You're gonna shout out to Donut to create a
uh,
term with smart. It is so good, so funny, and
so six
which we're
lamps.
doing by the way. I learned so much. I have the Illuminati comic at home. I
Oh,
love it.
nice. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I love it. Yeah,
There were doctors.
join the Illuminati on my door from Donut. Oh, Paranoid American created it.
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah.
very cool. Thank you and shout out to Donut. And look, what I thought when you was out of the podcast for whatever reason, I thought about it. This building were about healing with the frequency and so on and so forth. Yeah,
Well, that's what they say. We want to look at this with a with
without
a an
good
empty
fish.
mind. Think of because it's all symbolism. They're always talking in symbols. Six lamps.
This
I'm
is
sure
not
that's
when you are in this building. You can't doubt that the frequency is doing something to you. This is not symbol.
it's
This is
theoretical. Uh, okay, so
yeah.
we're gonna. It was there too. Faculty.
When I
But,
listen to your music, for example, you send me all the time. I get
well, it's not
confused.
all the time. uh,
It does something to me. Or when Andrew Tate is talking with the aggressive speak, it does something to me. And the frequencies that hit you does something to you. When the sun is shining, when
like
the
Star
flower
Spangled Banner.
on your skin does something to you.
uh, man, the
Anyway,
cigarette's strong. Ooh.
but according to Clint, it's not proven that sunlight is doing something to you.
Uh,
What is
well, let's get further because there's more
theoretic?
symbolism. Okay, so the lectures continued until 1454, till its last meeting took place, presided by by Jacques Desparts.
Yeah.
Uh, the cathedral is the
Wait,
inviolable.
one thing to this text, what I know for sure, the clown costume comes from India, from a tribe. Um, the
Excuse me.
East India Company, British people occupied India, and they discovered one guy who was like, the head of the East India Company was living with a tribe in India who used this clown costume, what we know in the West today, to channel ancestor spirits. Yeah,
Well, that's theoretical. Uh,
but the tribe did it. And he thought, oh, it's cool. And he brought it over to the West. It was ahead that very high up of the East India Company who lived in
yeah.
India, a native tribe, Rashid or something like that tribe. And they used this costume to channel ancestor spirits.
Well, that's what they
Well,
claim, but well,
this
let's
is the
continue.
story of the clown costume.
The cathedral is the
And this is,
inviolable.
wait a second, and the Christians believe in the Nephilims. And I
No,
think
that's
the clown and carnival thing is that the evil part of the Christian counterfeit is mocking Christianity with this carnival in churches and so on and so forth, and channeling Nephilim, by the way.
Well, it's symbolism of their secret goddess, uh,
But
according
yeah,
to. But so, well, this
no,
next
what
part's
she's
interesting.
describing is what's happening.
It
The
says,
circle is not symbolic.
yeah.
Okay, the
So,
circle is symbolic.
well,
It is
other cultures had clowns and
being
stuff too, but
built.
well,
What
so
it is?
well, there was the Heiko spirit of the Sioux tribe. That it was like the sacred clown that was from North America. That was predates the European clown and the India clown. Uh, the Heiko spirit would talk in parables of reverse. It'd speak in parables, but it would say the parables in backwards. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so it would say like if it was hot out, it would say it's cold out. If it was
Yeah, lying.
well, no, not lying, but it was
Lying.
it was a no, it was a characteristic of the spirit that it would speak backwards to confuse people. It's interesting because the Jesus story,
But
he's
this is what I call lying.
well, no, it's like the Jesus story. They want to arrest him. They want to crucify him. A normal person would not say yes. They would say no, and they would run.
Oh,
Well, it's
no.
interesting because the Masons allude to the symbol of Hermes Trismegistus as being Jesus. Uh,
Yeah, that's Jesus. Yeah, but they pick it up. You- I have to admit, just like, we believe this or this could be because of the
yeah.
Rosicrucians don't.
Well, it's like nobody
It's
knows that
not
the
fact.
well, yeah, but the thrice greatest thing is could be a misconception. It could have been originally meaning about the myrrh and the three incense uh, that the priest brought when Jesus was born, according to the story.
Yeah, I think this is questionable as well.
Uh,
Anyways,
this
go
next
ahead.
part looks good.
The cathedral is the invi
Inviolable sanctuary of the hunted, the burial place of the illustrious dead. It is the city within a city, the intellectual and moral center, the heart of public activity, the apotheosis of thought, knowledge, and art. This host of bristling monsters, of grotesques and comic figures, of masks, of menacing gargoyles, dragons, vampires, and taresques, all these were the secular guardians of the ancestral patrimony. Here, top with the outline of wait, is this
stop. This
here?
is the footnote.
Oh,
Here,
yeah, here it goes on.
scroll.
Well, let's read the note real quick. Top
Okay.
of the outline of the tower cross, the Kabbalistic language Sabbat is equivalent to the Kabbat or Shabbat or Chat boat, Puss in Boots of the tales of Mother Goose. The Epiphany cake sometimes contains a Sabbat instead of a bean.
So
That's
be it.
funny. You've heard of the Puss in Boots story, I think.
No, tell me.
It's like a cat that wears boots and is like one of the three musketeers
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes, I know.
then the mother goose. Okay, so here, art and science formerly concentrated the great monasteries have emerged from their seclusion and colonized the cathedral. They cling to the steeples, to the pinnacles, to the flying buttresses. They hang from the coving, fill the niches. They transform the windows into precious stones and endow the bells with ceremony, sonorous, sonorous vibrations. They expand on the church front with the glorious explosion of liberty and expression. Nothing could be more secular than the exotericism of this teaching. Nothing more human than this profusion of quaint things, alive, free, animated, and picturesque, sometimes in disorder, but always vivid in interest, with interest. There is nothing more moving than these multiple witnesses to the daily life, the taste, the ideals, the instincts of our fathers. Above all, there is nothing more captivating than the symbolism of the ancient alchemist, so ably translated by these modest medieval statues. In this connection, Notre Dame of Paris, the philosopher's church, is indisputably one of the most perfect specimens, and as Victor Hugo said, the most satisfying summary of the Hermetic science, of which the Church of Saint Jacques le Boucherie was such a complete
Yeah.
hieroglyph.
Oh, this
Hmm.
guy, I know his name, Bouchier.
Yeah.
Was he part of the Templars?
Hmm. I mean,
I heard this name so often.
yeah.
Who
Let me
was
just
this
Google it
guy?
real quick.
Jacques
Saint
Labouchière.
Bashir. It's a type of food in France. Not.
France is the most secretive country, right? And most evil. What when it
Uh,
comes to this, the catacombs of Paris and so on.
oh,
And
it's Saint James Tower.
I think James Tower.
Yeah, in Paris, France. Gothic Tower intersection of Rue de Ravier. Well, let's see. So it was partially rebuilt in the 16th century and demolished in 1797 during the French Revolution, leaving only the tower. The stones of the old church were treated as if it was a quarry. What remains of the destroyed church of Saint Jacques de la Boucherie is now considered a National Historic Landmark.
Was he involved in planning the French Revolution? Was he a Jacobite?
Well, this it
Maybe
was
I,
built.
but maybe it's a name, a common name in France.
Well, I'm not sure when it was originally built.
I think it
It
was
began in
very
oh,
important key
here it is,
figure. Maybe.
1523.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Anyway,
1523. Where were we at? Okay, the alchemists of the 14th century used to meet there once a week on the day of Saturn, either at the main porch at the portal of Saint Marcel or else the little Porte Rouge, all decorated with salamanders. Denis Zakir tells us that this custom was followed until the year 1539 on Sundays at feast days. Noel Dufayel says that the great place for those academy meetings was Notre Dame of Paris. There, amid the dazzling array of painted and gilded arches, of string courses and copings of Taipana, uh, with multicolored figures, Noel Defol propose. Wait, oh, this is a note. Gilded, painted, vivid colors. Blah, blah. Oh, what is this going on? The one at the Church of
this is
Saint
Saint
Germain.
Germain. This is all as well a very secretive figure. No one knows for sure if he really existed,
Yeah,
right? The story around Saint Germain
they say
is
he was.
it's a deep rabbit hole, so to say.
Some of the
I
Rosicrucians think Saint Germain was John of Revelations.
okay.
Uh, that John of Revelations never died.
Yeah, of course. logical. So is it? I heard a podcast about but I never touched this rabbit hole. I don't know much about this figure, Saint Germain. What only know is that it's a very deep rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like the it's like they say that some of the Rosicrucians say that Lazarus was Saint John of Revelations, and that Saint John's tomb was found, and
Okay.
somehow
All what they are saying is most likely not the case.
yeah, it's most likely symbolism.
Yeah, has to be. Or
Yeah, I
there
mean if
were.
it isn't, then it's definitely spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then
But I want to only mention Saint Germain on this point. But in this context, of course, we don't doubt the interpretation of this obvious Rosicrucian order of the alchemist or something like
well,
that.
they're separate from the
Once
Rosicrucians, but
people say the 1,000 points of the light need 1,000 points of light,
yeah, that's what some of them say.
the
But I mean,
enlightenment.
that's not the same as the alchemist. The alchemists seem to have been parting of the start of America, according to some of the books.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, like the Lodge of the Nine Muses, which Ben Franklin was part of. That would have been an
Oh,
alchemy type lodge. Uh,
oh, wasn't he in the Hellfire Club as well?
yeah, but I think that was just to
A
pick up
cover.
women or something.
Anyways, but all these intellectuals, so to say, who feel they are like gods, they are so arrogant in their writings, aren't they?
Well, I think they put that idea on the outer core members of the Illuminati to use their mind, use their arrogance,
Yeah.
use the flattery. The flattery is huge. Man, the sweet tastes good. uh,
Yeah, I know why, but I don't say loudly here. In the steps of Avignon de Montpellier, who's that? Cambrian and all the rest, we shall. Ah, he's talking in we form. He's part of something. We. Who is we?
where's
We shall undertake the
where you at?
pilgrimage.
Not least animated part. Blah, blah, blah. Explanation of the mysterious symbols around them.
Stones and question them.
Oh,
But he is speaking to stones and ask questions to the stones?
well, yeah, the statues. Maybe we should look up that name, Gabinu de Montesson.
Tomorrow I will talk to the next stone I see on the street, and then I will wait what will happen.
Okay, so uh,
People, you have to talk more to stones.
it, it seems to be Arthur de Gabinu. Let's see.
Oh wait, my dog has to go out. I'm out for 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. So interestingly, Arthur de Gabinu died on October 13th, 1882. That's interesting. I wonder if he was. Well, this is fucked up. French writer and diplomat who's best known to helping introduce scientific race theory and racial demography, and for developing the theory of Aryan master race. Whoa. Well, this is getting a little bit deep. Let's see. He was an elitist who immediately after revolutions of 1848 wrote an essay on the inequality of human races. In it, he argued the aristocrats were superior to commoners and that aristocrats possessed more Aryan genetic traits because of less interbreeding with inferior races. So this is fucked. I didn't think this would go towards some Nazi shit. That's fucked up. Arthur de Gabanu. I'll put the link in the description here. So this is taking a weird turn. What is Cambriel and all the rest? We shall undertake the pious pilgrimage. Gabanu de Montleçon. Is that even the same wait, no, I didn't. Montleçon. Nah, I don't know if I got the right person here. Hold on. Let me just keep that link open. Where's the keyboard? Montleçon. Montleçon. Okay, here it is. 1590. Okay, that was not the right person. Okay, it's AI overview. Spirit Gabinu de Montleçon, 1590 through 16 something. Oh damn it, this is in French. Etoit, an alchemist Francis de something the 17th. What the fuck does that say? Why isn't this in English? Okay, approach to alchemy, 1648, interpretation of Notre Dame. Damn it, why is this in French? Interpret the scriptures. So he interpreted the scriptures of the portal of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris in comparison of alchemy. So he was an alchemist. This Jebenu de Montesson. I'm gonna have to dig into that later because that's very interesting. Okay, so I don't know why it showed me that other guy, but I've never seen that other dude. Which the other dude, the Nazi thing, does not have anything. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a background check on this Gavinu character. Okay, so back to this. Where is he at? Cambriel and all the rest. We shall undertake the pious pilgrimage, speak to the stones, and question them. Alas, it was almost too late. The vandalism of Soufflot has a large extent destroyed what the Souffleurs could admire in the 16th century. And if art owes some gratitude to those eminent architects, Tasson, Geoffrey Deschamps, Baswellald, Violet Le Duc, and Lassus, who restored the basilica so odiously profane, science will never again find it is lost. However that may be, and in spite of these regrettable mutilations, the motifs still extant are sufficiently numerous to repay the time and trouble of a visit. Indeed, I shall consider myself satisfied and amply rewarded if I have been able to awaken the curiosity of the reader, to hold the attention of the shrewd observer, and to show the lovers of the occult that it is not impossible even now to rediscover the meaning of the secrets hidden under the petrified exterior of this wondrous book of magic. He's talking about the sculptures in the cathedral and stuff. First of all, it is necessary for me to say a word about the term Gothic, as it is applied to French art, which imposed its rule on all the productions of the Middle Ages and whose influence extends from the 12th to the 15th century. I think the word Gothic is an old German word for God or whatever. Some have claimed wrongly that it came from the Goths. See, wrongly that it came from the Goths, the ancient Germanic people. Others allege that the word suggesting something barbarous was bestowed in derision of on a form of art. Souffleurs, vernacular word of alchemists, furnaces. Oh wait, where is that? So in the form of art, whose originality and extreme peculiarity were shocking to the people of the 17th and 18th centuries. Such is the opinion of the classical school, imbued with the decadent principles of the Renaissance, but true, preserved in the speech of the common people, has ensured the common use, has ensured the, the continued use of the expression Gothic art, in spite of the efforts of the Academy to substitute the term Algaval art. There was an obscure reason for this, which should have made our linguists ponder. Since they were always on the lookout for the derivation of words. How does it become? How does it come about? Wait, where'd my camera go? Where is that? How does it come about that so few compilers of dictionaries have lighted upon the right one? The simple fact is that the explanation must be sought in the Kabbalistic origin of the word, and not its literal root. Some discerning and less superficial authors, struck by the similarity between Gothic and Goetic, have thought that there must be a close connection between Gothic art and Goetic art, i.e., magic. For me, Gothic art Gothique, is simply a corruption of the word argotique or cant, which sounds exactly the same. This is in conformity with the phonetic law, which governs traditional Kabbalah in every language and does not pay any attention to spelling. Ah, I didn't realize that. The cathedral is a work of art, Goth, or argot, i.e., cant or slang. Moreover, dictionaries define argot as a language peculiar to all individuals who wish to communicate their thoughts without being understood by outsiders. Thus, it certainly is a spoken Kabbalah. The argotiers, those who use this language, are the Hermetic descendants of the Argonauts, who manned the ship Argo. They spoke the language Argotique, or our langue verte, or the green language, or slang, while they were sailing towards the felit- felicitous shores of Colchos to win the famous Golden Fleece. I'm going to screenshot that page because that's a good. That's a good. I've heard that one before. But, the Golden Fleece, which is very relevant because the Golden Fleece is the same as the fire of Prometheus. So it's saying that it's the esoteric language. People still say about a very intelligent but rather sly man. Where is that? Quote, he knows everything. He understands cant, which means slang. All the initiates express themselves in cant, or slang, or surrealism. The vagrants of the court of miracles, headed by the poet Villon, as well as the Freemasons of the Middle Ages, members of the Lodge of God, who built the Argotique masterpieces, who we still admire today. those constructional sailors, Nuats, also knew the root of the garden of Hesperides. Hesperides. In our day, cant or slang is spoken by the humble people, the poor, the despised, the rebels, calling for liberty and independence, and the outlaws, the tramps, and the wanderers. Cant is the cursed dialect, banned by high society, by the nobility, who are really so little noble. The well fed, the self satisfied middle class, luxuriating in the ermine of their ignorance and fatuity. It remains the language of the minority of individuals living outside accepted laws, conventions, customs, and etiquette. The term voyous or street Arabs, that is to say, voyants or seers, is applied to them as and the even more expressive terms sons or children of the sun. Gothic art is in fact the art got or cot, the of art of tight or of the spirit. People think that such things are merely play on words. I agree. The important thing is that such wordplay should guide our faith towards certainty, towards positive and scientific truth, uh, which is the key to the religious mystery, and should not leave us wandering in the capricious maze of our imagination. The fact is that there is neither chance nor coincidence nor accidental correspondence here below. All is foreseen, preordained, regulated, and it is not for us to bend to our pleasure the inscrutable will of destiny. If the usual sense of words does not allow us any discovery capable of elevating and instructing us, of bringing us nearer to our Creator, then words become useless. The spoken word, which gives man his indisputable superiority, his dominion over every living thing, loses its nobility, its greatness, its beauty. It becomes no more than a distressing vanity. Besides language, the instrument of the spirit has a life of its own, even though it is only a reflection of the universal idea. We do not invent anything, we do not create anything. All is everything, all is in everything. Our microcosm is only an
Right.
infinitesimal. You can
All is everything. Where is the proof? But I heard you reading, we know everything.
well, wait.
And this is what my problem is with this guys. They claim a lot of shit without picking it up. There's no proof
Excuse me.
here. All is in, where was it? All is in everything. All is in everything. I
Oh,
say n- nothing is in everything as well.
that,
So, when nothing is the something, what is not nothing, and
that-
the nothing, what is something, and the not nothing, is also in everything. How doesn't it contradict itself?
uh,
Just asking.
well, you can tell he's talking about the New Age religion that
It
they're.
sounds like this Christ consciousness, all is in everything, all in one. We go back united to the source, or where all things come from when our spirits go
Yeah,
um over the rainbow bridge, or call it whatever you want,
Yeah.
and we will
Also,
become united.
I think you might be talking more about the symbols, maybe.
But what is
Uh,
here symbolic? I can't understand it. Can you
well,
explain it?
well, I did.
What is
I don't know if
symbolic
you
and what
missed this
it
one
means?
part. Where's it
Because
at?
I'm a heartless,
But
stupid
you heard this part though, right?
nothing.
Uh,
What is part of everything?
okay, so the art gothique, corruption of the word argotique, which means slang, or can't, phonetic blah blah blah. Argot, see slang right there. Language peculiar to all individuals who wish to communicate their thoughts without being understood by outsiders. So an esoteric language. Uh, Thus is spoken Kabbalah. The Argoteers who use this language were the Hermetic descendants of the Argonauts, like Jason and the Argonauts, like the Jason Society, who manned the ship Argo. They spoke the language Argotique, or Langue Verte, green language, or slang. See, that's what it's all about. I would, yeah. So he knows everything. He understands slang. That's what it's talking about. Well, I mean, generally speaking, but where were we at? Street Arabs. Okay, right here. Blah blah macrocosm. What we believe we have ourselves discovered by an effort of our intelligence exists already elsewhere. Faith gives us a present presentiment of what this is. Revelation gives us absolute proof. Often we pass by a phenomenon or a miracle even without noticing it, like a like men blind and deaf. What unsuspected marvels we should find if we know how to dissect words, to strip them of their bark and liberate the spirit, the divine light which is within. Jesus expressed himself only in parables. Can we deny the truth which the parables teach? In present day conversation, is it not the ambiguities, the approximations, the puns, or the assonances which characterize spirited people who are glad to escape from the tyranny of the letter and thereby unwittingly show themselves Kabbalists in their own right? Finally, I would add that argot, or slang, is one of the forms derived from the language of the birds, parent and doyen of all other languages, the one spoken by philosophers and diplomats. It was knowledge of this language which Jesus revealed to his apostles by sending them his Spirit, the Holy Ghost. This is the language which teaches the mystery of things and unveils the most hidden truths. The ancient Incas called it the court language because it was used by diplomats. To them, it is the key to the double science, sacred and profane. In the Middle Ages, it was called gay science and the gay knowledge and the language of the gods. The dive Boutiel tradition assures us that men spoke it before the building of the Tower of Babel, which event caused the sacred language to be perverted and to be totally forgotten by the greater part of humanity. Today, apart from cant or slang, we find its character in a few local dialects, such as Picard, Provençal, etc., and then the language of the Gypsies. Uh, hmm. Let's see. Well, uh, mythology would have it that the famous soothsayer Tiresias had perfect knowledge of the language of the birds, which Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, revealed to him. He shared it, they say, with Thales of Miletus, Melampus, and Apollonius of Tyana, legendary personages whose names in science we are considering ring eloquently through enough to require no analysis from me. That's the Life of Gargantua and Pantagruel by Francis Rabelais, and is as an esoteric work, a novel in cant or slang. The good cure of Meudon reveals himself in it as a great initiate as well as first class Kabbalist. It is said that Tiresias was deprived of his sight for revealing to the mortals the secret of Olympus. However, he lived for 7, 8, or 9 ages of man, and is supposed to have been successively man and woman. A philosopher whose life. Oh wait, these are notes at the bottom. I'm retarded. Okay, so blah blah philosophic rebus, blah blah Apollo and Diana. Okay, so I'm gonna skip over this. With rare exceptions, the ground plan for Gothic churches, cathedrals, abbey, and collegiate churches takes the form of a Latin cross laid on the ground. Wait, I don't recall seeing any pictures yet. There should have been a picture in between each chapter. With rare exceptions, the ground plan of the Gothic cathedrals, abbey, and collegiate colleges takes the form of Latin cross laid on the ground. Now the cross is the alchemical hieroglyph of the crucible. Ah, I see. Whoa. So the cross is the molten sea. Whoa. I can't believe I missed over that last time I read this. Which used to be called the French crucible, and croisset, according to De Conge, the vulgar Latin crucibulum, crucible, has its root crux, crucis, a cross. Whoa. That's totally relevant to the Masonic story because Hiram Abiff, who's the chief cornerstone, he has a secret word. 3 ruffians try to steal the word. Or wait, no, the molten sea part. He pours the molten sea of fire, molten metal, and then the crucible, and then he jumps in it, and that Jesus jumps on the cross. I mean, well, he doesn't jump,
What
but
the fuck? What happens when I cross the street? You all do it every day. Cross the street.
nah.
Yeah,
Well,
this is nothing so secret. We don't think about this word.
well, this, well,
And
this,
interesting crucible. I never thought about this, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've never, cause I've read
Mm,
this before. This, at least this part, in the I got like halfway through the book, but the crucible equating to the crucifix or the cross. I didn't realize that was those
mhm.
two equated. They were
Yeah,
the same.
but when you see it, yeah,
I'm gonna have
or
to.
cross
Okay.
the line, or we use the word and crucible. Yeah, we use this, and maybe we should look it up, asking ChatGPT all words related to cross.
Yeah.
It is the
What's
language is power. The language is magic as well, and may some words really under a spell and put on purpose in this way.
I mean
And we
the
use it, and it's all referring to something divine in the symbolic sense. Symbolic. Symbolic?
Yeah. What goes
Yeah.
on the next sentence?
When you cross the street, you curse.
Uh, well, in the next paragraph, it goes on to say, "It is indeed in the crucible the first matter suffers the passion, like Christ Himself. It is in the crucible that it dies and is to be revived, purified, spiritualized, transformed. Further, do not the common people, whose faithful guardians of the oral tradition express the human ordeal on earth by religious parables and hermetic similes." So when the alchemists are talking about the crucible, they're not talking about a real crucible. It's symbolic. It's slang. It means it's a symbolic thing of transformation, of purity. Uh, it's like how it's like how it's interesting because it's comparing it to the story when Jesus dies and is transformed uh, on the cross or the crucible. I think the story must have been originally they probably just hid it. They hid it in the alchemy story to keep the Romans and stuff from or keep the I don't know. It's definitely weird. To bear one's cross, to climb one's Calvary, to go through the crucible of existence, are all current sayings in which we find a same sense expressed by the same symbolism. Let us not forget that around the luminous cross seen at the vision of Constantine appeared those prophetic words, which he adopted on his standard, which is, by the way, the symbol of the Templars, in hoc signi, uh, in the sign we shall conquer. For remember too, my brother alchemist, that the cross bears the imprint of three nails used to sacrifice the Christ body. Yes, they're talking about the Christ consciousness bullshit. Image of the three purifications. Well, they might be talking about something different. The image of the three purifications by sword and fire. Meditate similarly on that clear passage of Saint Augustine in his dispute with Tryphon, quote, "The mystery of the lamb which God had ordered to be sacrificed at Easter," he says, "was the figure of Christ, with which whose those who believe stain their abodes." He's talking about the lamb's blood on the doors. That is to say, themselves by the faith which they have in him. Further, this lamb, which the law prescribed to have roasted whole, was a symbol of the cross which Christ had to endure, since the lamb to be roasted is disposed in such a way as to represent a cross. One of the arms of the cross pierces it through and through, from the hind quarters to the head, and the other pierces its shoulders and its forefeet. The Greeks,
Interesting. How do they know?
the
And there
Greeks say,
is no mystery. The message was very clear in the Bible when
yes,
Jesus was crucified. The sacrificial
yeah,
stuff was over and the suffering was over. This old worshipping to God was over. Christ delivered the suffering, the sacrificing things on the cross. And then it was over. End of story. But they
yeah,
didn't want to end the story of sacrificing humans and animals and whatnot because they loved it. And this is the sick part of this elite. they love it to see suffering, to see people dying. The more innocent, the more joy they have. This is the sick part, the sick mindset.
Well,
I don't say of all elites, but many.
uh, well,
No,
so
the way it is.
we'll think of it more in the symbolic sense. It's interesting because he's linking.
How
Well,
he describes how where is it? Wait a
yeah, but
second.
well, he's linking ancient
The
Hebrew with
most
Christianity.
he loves all this death. What is very death and suffering and torture. He had one of the arms of the cross pierced it through and through. You can
Yeah.
see writing how he enjoys this torture.
Well, no,
But
that's not what
oh,
he's saying.
I say it as a heartless nobody of the everything, what is not nothing, that someone with a heart, with a stain
Well, no,
heart,
think of that.
don't describe it
Okay.
in this way. They say, oh,
No. You know that Bible story where?
go into it.
Hold on.
That
You, you,
whole
you,
he,
you- let
he
me hold up. You know the Bible story where the Jews they take the sheep blood and they put it on their doors in ancient Egypt,
yeah,
and that the Pharaoh and all his people get
yeah,
cursed, and that it was an old magic that they were an old type of magic that they were doing, putting the sheep's blood on the door. Uh, it was because it was to ward off the demon, the spirit. Uh,
yeah. Maybe it was just a belief. I don't know.
well, it's really interesting that he's linking it to Jesus with this. It's very bizarre.
They have a problem with Jesus, so they have um to made up some stories. You know, at best, Clint, you are expert of space Jesus. Don't
Well, no,
teach
he's he's saying that he's saying that the
and
lamb's blood on the
do
door
and
and that Jesus.
do and
Well, that
pierces through and
hold on.
through and pierces shoulders and
Well, you're
forehead.
missing it.
No, no, I
Hold on.
don't miss nothing. I love suffering.
Okay, so
We can't
uh,
hide it. The
he
cross.
he's saying that Jesus being crucified was in resonance with the uh, the lamb's blood on the doors, and that the somehow it was in resonance with it.
Blood.
Uh,
A lot of blood. Maybe this guy was a vampire as
well,
well.
so
Yeah.
let's go on. uh,
Read between the lines.
cross is a very ancient
Oh,
symbol used in
come
all
on.
ages.
Would have thought? The cross is
uh,
the X, right? X.
yeah,
X.
well, a T or an X, I would.
I think it is something very natural. Natural. I can't pronounce natural.
That
Natural.
sounds fine. Uh,
It
okay,
is
so
a, but they say it's just an X. But no, the cross is a very ancient symbol. They
yeah,
make secrets where no secrets are. Used in all ages. Oh, would have thought? Guess what?
uh, okay, so by
I
all peoples, and one would be wrong to consider it as a special
think
emblem of
the
Christianity.
first thing humanity was doing was an X in the sand or marking place. Here's my home X. Yeah,
I think this next part is really gonna.
it's a very ancient symbol.
Okay, so Abbey and Salt has more than amply shown. We say further that the ground plan of the great religious buildings of the Middle Ages, by the addition of semicircular or elliptical apse joined at the choir, joined to the choir assumes the shape of the Egyptian heretic sign of the crux and santa, the ankh.
How does this look? How does the Egyptic hieratic sign of the cross and Santa looks like? Do you have a picture?
Uh, crux and santa. Oh, hold on
But
here.
I have no idea how the Egyptian hierarch sign of the cross and Satan never heard about it. Looks like
Yeah, it looks
it's
just like
the universal
just
light
looks just like the ankh.
in matter. And what about the nothing? Anyways,
Well, so what was that here?
I
Universal life hidden
we
in
have
matter.
never heard about this Egyptian hieratic sign of the crux and Satan. I
Yeah,
Google
the
how
ankh.
it is crux
Oh,
and
universal life and matter. As an example of this may be
crux.
seen at the Museum of Saint Germain en Laye on the Christian sarcophagus from the crypts of Saint Honore at Arles. On the other
Ah,
hand, the Hermetic equivalent of the Ankh symbol is the emblem of Venus or Cyprus, in Greek
eh,
Kypric, the impure. Ah, i.e.,
H.G. Wells wrote a book about crux and Satan.
yeah, yeah, I've seen that. I.e., the common copper, which some, in order to veil the meaning further, have translated as brass, brass, or Latin. No wonder it's a brass lion. Oh, whiten the Latin on your books. Wait, whiten the Latin and burn your books is the repeated advice of all the good authors. Uh,
Oh yeah,
Cy-
by the way, burn all books
well, then
so
it
they
says,
can pretend to be very wicked smart
yeah. Well, then it says,
because the
Kuiper.
books declare that we are stupid, retarded idiots.
Well, Kuiper is the same word as, or Cyprus, is the same word as sulfur, which
I
is,
have a few questions. We are here to question everything, can we? What, Clint, can you explain what common copper is?
well, they're saying it's brass. Brass is zinc and copper mixed, I think,
Ah,
with
yeah.
tin, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so, and it's interesting because the alchemist wrote about a green lion, and there's brass lions all over the world, and that, well,
Ah,
all over
all
Europe, and
right.
well,
Mm-hmm.
that the
Okay,
lion was the symbol of Jesus, and that the
yeah.
brass was the symbol of uh, unpure,
The
impure.
tribe of Judah as well, yeah.
Well, the sulfur. Well, so
Okay,
this is weird. Okay, so it's the same word as sulfur, which has the meaning of manure, muck, dung, or ordure. The wise man will find our stone even in the dung heap, writes the cosmopolite, which the ignorant will not be able to believe that it exists in gold. So, okay, so this is interesting because all the people that are like, oh, the one book says Jesus is boiling and shit, that they don't understand that that's an old allegory of alchemy, and that it was an alluding to sulfur or uh, brass, molten brass. See, it's like, okay, so it's interesting because the Hiram Abyss story, the molten sea of Melchizedek, the molten sea consists of two metals, and the two metals could be the copper and the brass, or the copper and the zinc. And that's because it's like it says they looked clear or something. They looked colorless. If you looked at copper when it was melted, it would look colorless. And I'm pretty sure zinc or tin would also be, it would appear to be like a reflecting colorless thing. And then the mixing of it together in a symbolic sense, because remember it's slang, and then they would have had to have sulfur to what? This is definitely getting weird. Uh, okay, so it is thus that the ground plan. Wait, where's that? One second. Uh, okay, so maybe we should dis- discuss. What are your thoughts on the what was just read? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, wonderful, as always, isn't it? We learned that we have to speak with stones, that a pig was carrying holy, holy, what was it?
Holy water.
Holy water, and there was a circus and carnival, and then a strange ball game came in. Then it is about
Yeah, which may have
suffering,
been the
joy,
Sephiroth.
suffering, and the Kaaba, and the Kabbalists, and the land of Saba or Kaaba. What is Mecca? And
Well,
then, huh?
we don't know what
And,
land. I think it's generally
and
talking
here
about the
comes
Middle
my
East.
question. Um, when was this book written? 1800 something, right?
1924, I think.
1924.
Yeah.
19. Okay, I have to. That
Well, I
was
think it
the
was
time of
19.
the Great Depression. No, in what country? Where was
What's
this
that?
guy? This
Uh,
guy,
France.
yeah, okay.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
of 1920. Oh, what was it?
Well, I mean that was the whole era
Um,
of
Renaissance?
rebirth. Yeah, it was like a rebirth of a
The
type
Renaissance?
of
No, no, no.
architecture. What is that
It,
called? The that old type of art, Art Deco.
Baroque, Rococo,
Well, no, Art Deco. Oh, wait, yeah, Baroque. That's that. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah,
Baroque.
yeah. I'm definitely not seeing it
Yeah, okay.
accurately.
And he and he is part of a secret society in France, and he loves the Notre Dame. Yeah, he's part of a death cult. And um, my question is to you: what does it say about the mystery of the cathedral?
What do you mean,
What
like the?
what does it tell us to this
Well, I mean,
point?
well, basically, it's telling us that that it's all symbolism. Uh, well, I mean, it's telling us that it's all slang. The statues themselves are written in slang. Um,
Of course, but what does this guy want to say with all his
well, they're saying this old slang is from
symbolism? In the beginning, he said uh, to take the long story short, he was excited about the cathedral and wonderful and whatever he described it, how beautiful and so on and so forth. He
yeah.
was literally obsessed by it. And now we have read an hour. 2 hours. And
Um,
what's the conclusion? What, in his point of view, is the cathedral? The
well,
mis-
it's what it is it's a
to translate it in our language, in our understanding.
what it is it's a book
History.
that's written in symbols and pictures that was understood by the common people, and that eventually it was all lost of what the real story was.
Ah,
Um, like that thing about the
okay.
crucible and the cross, that whole connection there. Well, so here it's going on further. It is
Mhm.
thus that the ground plan of the Christian building reveals to us the qualities of the first matter. Remember, in the beginning there was nothing, and then there was something which was not nothing.
Not nothing. Exactly.
Right, and it's
But then
preparation. Oh,
this
sorry.
was the Big Bang and not the first plan to build a church building.
I mean,
This
it's
is nonsense again.
symbolism. The first matter is symbolism of the phrase in the Bible where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and from the Word came the flesh," or something,
Ah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
something like that. But so,
Reveals to us the qualities of the first matter.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and it's preparation by the sign of the cross, which points to the way for the alchemist to obtain the first stone, the cornerstone of the philosopher's great work. It is on this stone that Jesus built his church, and the medieval Freemasons have symbolically followed the divine example. But
The
before being
divine example.
but
Holy
before
fuck.
before being dressed to serve as the base for the work of Gothic art, as well as for the philosophical work of art, the rough, impure, and gross and unpolished stone was given the image of the devil.
As I said in the beginning, I don't like this architecture. And he's contradicting himself all the time.
Well,
In the beginning, he say, "Oh, it's wonderful and beautiful," and who not think this way is heartless, has no heart.
what you
And now
remember,
he says the image of the devil, or he loved the devil. What makes
well,
sense?
what
Because
you
it's
gotta
not
remember, he's well. Hold on,
suffering
let
and
me explain here. Okay, so he's talking about the rough ashlar, the rough, impure, unpolished stone. That's the uninitiated, the profane. That's the symbol, and the first stone would be
yeah,
uh, well,
yeah,
it's interesting because it's like,
yeah.
uh, but before being
So
okay,
it's
so
practical. You need it,
it,
but Jesus meant something else with this.
well, it's talking about going from bad to good. Remember, did you ever read the stories about Jesus' childhood?
Written by
There were some kind of
dude,
Bible books that weren't accepted by Rome.
the Apocrypha.
Yeah,
No.
well, in the books, like young Jesus was supposedly like a bad kid, you know. He wasn't very good, and
Oh,
so,
of course.
but the symbolism of the stone.
Yeah, of course. All the symbolism, not all.
Well, it's like they're saying that this rough stone, which was profane, was shaped and chiseled into the great stone that the builders refused, which was the symbol
I
of Jesus.
ah,
Uh,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they hate Jesus.
Well, remember though. Remember, you
They
gotta
love
empty your mind.
to become a stupid sheeple,
Yeah.
a useful idiot.
Also,
It is very, on the one hand, it is a lot of nonsense and bullshit and contradictions. On the other hand, when you're in this circle and understand their symbolic writings, maybe there are some hidden secrets. What if
Well, so remember the key to alchemy.
this is what I'm not good at?
Well, you remember the key to alchemy is
A
lead,
donkey.
lead to gold. Lead was the symbol of the unpolished stone, which was impure or the devil, and that gold was the symbol of uh, purity or perfection.
Mhm. Yeah, but this is all over the world. It's interesting, yeah.
Well, so yeah, so the great work, cornerstone philosopher's great work. Keep in mind, this great work of the philosophers is not the same great work of Weishaupt
Ah,
and Leone.
okay. I thought it is the same.
I mean, technically it could be, but
Yeah, it's
okay.
symbolic. I know.
Notre Dame of Paris possessed a similar hieroglyph situated under the rude screen, the corner of the choir rail. Wait, they had a hieroglyph of it situated under the wait. It was the figure of the devil, opening an enormous mouth in which the faithful extinguished their candles. Thus, the sculpture block of stone was murked with streaks of candle grease and blackened with smoke. The common people called this image Maistre Pierre de Coignet, or Master Peter Stone of the Corner. Huh. So they were calling Peter the devil. Well, that's interesting because remember in the Bible it says Jesus is like talking to Peter and he's like, "Be gone, devil."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The counterfeit of the real Christianity. Obvious.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting because it says, which is a continual embarrassment to archaeologists.
Ah, of course.
Now, this stone, which is intended to represent the first matter of the work, personified under the aspect
I
wait,
will talk to every stone I
of
came up
Lucifer. Of Lucifer, the morning star, was the symbol of our cornerstone, the headstone of the
Here we
corner,
are. Lucifer,
the stone which the builders rejected.
the hero, the good guy.
The emerald has been made of the headstone of the corner on which rests the whole structure of the building, but which is a stumbling block whose stone of shame against which the dash themselves to their ruin. As for the dressing of this cornerstone, I mean its preparation, it can be seen translated in very fine bas relief of the time, sculptured in the outside of the building on an absidal chapel facing the Rue de Cloit Notre Dame. Okay, so what can you remember about any cornerstone that was laid by a mason? Because I'm pretty sure I remember some of them were rough stone.
All of them, they are
Let me see.
everywhere. Isn't this related to the cube as well? The
Well,
black
I mean,
cube,
like, well, it's
white cube,
interesting because
or
there's a
oh,
mistranslation because it's the stone the builders refused was also called the chief cornerstone.
I think it is has a the length is um
Well, I guess it doesn't look
say
rough.
it is
Never mind.
shorter.
Okay, so well, it's
12,
interesting.
but 12,
Well, this is very Masonic. I mean,
12, 12, 12, 12. I think it's 12 or 13. 12 or 13 inches or meters.
well,
I
so
We have different
this is
measurements.
interesting. Uh,
It was 12, 12, 12 quarters. three.
Black and wisdom. I'm trying to. Where was this? I'm trying to figure out where the stone was. Notre Dame possessed somewhere under a
Black
rude screen at the corner of the choir
philosopher
rail.
on Notre Dame.
Yeah. So, um, let's see.
But the word Lucifer means light bringer. But I
Yeah,
thought the other day it can also refer to fer ferrum, iron, also Fe, the last three letters, Fer, ferrum. It is iron.
iron, like the metal.
Yeah,
Hmm. Well, so where were we at? Um,
iron is in the blood, and blood was used to build cement. The old streets are made of blood. If you didn't know that, you know it now that there's blood in it.
oh,
Iron
let's
is
start.
blood. Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
The term Lucifer was introduced later in the Bible. Lucifer was called Hellale, and then in the Latin version they changed it to Lucifer out of nothing. And when it goes back to this alchemist, I don't. I thought about this ferrum iron metal, and then when Trump came to power, there was this iron coffee word again showed up again. Something had to do with iron and this blood drinking, how it is called, this adrenochrome and so. And um, I think they tell it in the ones who introduced the word or changed the word Hillel to Lucifer,
Hmm.
when they were alchemists, they meant the metal iron ferrum, in my opinion.
Well, that's definitely relevant. Uh,
Maybe just thought
well, here's a picture from a Masonic lodge.
because it's also a
Uh,
metal and iron shaped.
well, here's a picture from a Masonic lodge of a Hiram statue.
Yeah, yeah,
He's got a hammer with the iron.
yeah, yeah. The hammer, yeah, it's also so iron, yeah. And ferrum, also Ferum. It's
Yeah.
the Latin word for iron.
Well, iron is the symbol of Mars. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, Mars is
Interesting.
a pentacle or a
Okay.
pentagon. Five sides.
Interesting.
It's relevant to the mystery of the cathedral.
Yeah, because a lot of things are related to iron.
Well, this is all very
Isn't it
Masonic.
ironic? Isn't it ironic?
To- uh, hold on.
It's just my thought.
Sorry, I had to tell my girlfriend your joke. uh, yeah, she just woke up for a minute to smoke and go back to sleep. So, yeah, iron, ironic. Isn't iron ironic? No, it's funny. Uh, let's see. Wait. Oh, I forgot to put the book back. There we go.
Yeah, and Lucy. Okay, I will tell you when he's not listening.
Okay,
It's
yeah, sorry.
oh no, I thought you wasn't listening, and I want to tell the audience a secret without your
Uh,
knowledge to be cool.
well, I know all slang, so nothing is hidden.
Now the
According to
Lucy
the book.
thing. Lucy is Luke, a
Hmm.
portal. Luke.
Luke.
Yeah,
Uh,
I, in, I don't know. Is it in English the same word? In French, Luke is a portal.
hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that from Latin originally or
Yeah.
French?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know. In Latin, it means light, luce, or
Yeah.
Italian. But Luke can also mean in German we have this word Luke, and Luke is yeah, a small window. Yeah, a window, a portal.
Oh.
Uh,
Hmm.
what else? Yeah, a access point. As in Luke is a small window, so to say.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then a portal, iron, portal, iron, pentagon, Mars. Lucifer makes in this context more sense to me than the light bringer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it had something to do with portals and with iron.
Well, it's interesting because because in the Hurrium Abyss story, excuse me, when he jumps when he jumps into the crucible, which according to the book also means crucifix, that it was a portal, and that's when Hiram Abiff went to the center of the earth, uh, nine levels, nine arches down, and that it and that
Oh,
the
okay.
well, in the Jesus story, Jesus goes in Matthew 12:40 or something. He goes to the heart of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and
Yeah, right.
so it's describing that him dying, he's going to the heart of the earth like through a portal, just like
Yeah, and
and the cross
Luke
is the portal.
but it can simply be a door to the next room. It doesn't necessarily have to do with something, yeah, paranormal stuff. It
Well, it's
can, but it is not. I'm too tired to speak English. You know what I mean. The
well, I mean, it's bizarre though, because it's like,
word loop as portal exists in the English language.
well, portal portal's another term though for
No,
the
loop,
well, hold on,
loop.
the portal's another term for the chrysanthemum of the cathedrals, and that the chrysanthemum is typically mirrored on the floor by a by the labyrinth on the floor.
Yeah, the
The
floor, the entrance is a loop, a portal. Yeah, portals.
oh yeah, the
Port, the
entrance
entrance.
portal too. I forgot. Yeah, I'm stoned. Where's that
It's
bowl go?
just very simple.
Well, the
And
book is
Lucifer, do you remember when all this megaliths showed up 2 years ago?
yeah,
Yeah, iron
iron.
came, fell from the heaven
Some of them were three
and
sided
out
too.
nothing. at the same time.
What is the symbol?
Luke, English, Luke.
Well, okay, so this is the fifth part
La.
of the. I don't know if this is the fifth chapter or what, but so well. I mean, that last thing though I was saying was we should go. This is definitely interesting because it's.
What is lukewarm? Lukewarm water.
So it's talking about Jesus, the cross, blah blah. First
Lauwarm.
stone, philosopher's work, the stone that Jesus built, blah blah. Before being dressed to serve as chief cornerstone of the temple. Wait, where's of the philosopher's work? Wait, is the stone that Jesus built his church? Okay, so before it was his stone, it was the devil's stone, or it was a symbol of the devil, unpolished stone. So I mean, in masonry, imagine. Well, so in
Iron.
Freemasonry, the unpolished stone is called the rough ashlar, and that before you're a mason, you're a rough ashlar, or before you're like a full-fledged mason. So but then it's like yeah. So then they're going on the stone. They called it Master Peter's Stone of the Corner.
And there was something about a whale. When you scroll.
A whale?
Yeah, there was mentioned a whale, and this is the.
No, I think I mentioned that.
Look through the loop. Yeah, the loop. You can when the whale is lifted, you
Oh,
can
the veil.
look. Yeah, the whale. What
Okay,
was
sorry.
use the search function? The word whale
Oh,
in context. This
the
was.
veil. That might have been the
Yeah,
page I
you
was
read.
on over here.
No, it was.
Wait, you sure that was?
Use the search function.
Well, I don't want to lose the page because I'm pretty stoned.
47.
40s. Okay, so you think it was on page 47? Okay.
Yeah, I keep it in mind.
Wait, 47 on the right part?
This is the page we were. Anyways,
Okay, well.
I will look it up for myself later. It is not so important.
Well, I could weird search it real quick.
Keep it.
Okay. V-I-E.
No, V E.
Oops.
V-E.
Damn, where's my mouse? Okay. V-E-I-L.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
With the copper, which some in order to veil the meaning further.
Yeah, the common copper. Whoa, shit. Oh, damn it.
Which some in order to veil the meaning further. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Okay, now you can go to page 47.
Okay, well, I think it was right here. All right, yeah, so it's, well, back to this. Okay, so now this stone was intended to represent the first matter of the work, personified under the aspect of Lucifer, the morning star, was the symbol of the cornerstone, headstone of the corner, the stone that the builders rejected. That's okay. I guess let's just go to here. Whilst the decoration of the salient parts was reserved for the sculptors, the taller of the images, the ornamentation of the floor of the cathedrals was assigned to the work in ceramics. The floor was normally flagged or tiled. Flagged is a flagstone. Flagged or tiled with baked clay tiles, painted and covered with a lead glaze. All right. Uh, where is that? In the Middle Ages, the art had reached such perfection that historical subjects could be assured of the sufficient variety of design or color and color. Sorry, use was made of little cubes of multicolored marble in the manner of Byzantine mosaics. Among the motifs most frequently employed, one should note the labyrinths. I was just talking about labyrinths, which were traced on the ground at the point of intersection of the nave and the transepts. The churches of Sens, Reims, Auxerre, Saint Quentin, Poitiers, Boyex, and Boyou, and preserve their labyrinths. The center of the labyrinth at Amiens, a large flagstone used to be visible, encrusted with a bar of gold, and a semicircle of the same metal, showing the run rising above. I think it's supposed to say sun, showing the sun rising above the horizon. Later on, the gold sun was replaced by a copper one, and the latter, in its turn, disappeared. So somebody stole it, never to
And
be replaced at all.
into the nothingness.
As for the labyrinth of charts, called the common tongue, called in the common tongue Leilu, the league, for Leilu, the place, and drawn on the paving stones of the nave, is composed of the whole series of concentric circles, coiling one within another in endless variety. The
What is
center,
interesting as well when it comes to these metals and alchemy, when you look to the periodic table and the atomic numbers and all the stuff, I think there is something secret hidden there as well.
well, you're right, because the Egyptian mysteries, it's all divisible by 9, and that 9 times 9 equals 81. There's 81 stable periodic elements in the uh, there's 81 stable elements in the periodic table. I kept saying it backwards.
Yeah, 100% because um I looked up iron, for example, and it has because we I was thinking about the serum and Lucifer thing, and the atomic number is 26. Huh. And
Well,
we have
that's
here 26. And Mrs. Bailey from the United Nations,
wait. What? Hold on.
opinion 25
What
came
was that number? 26
26.
gold.
No, iron.
Oh, iron. Wow. Well, you know that. Oh, that's interesting because later on in the book, he goes on about the Black Madonna being iron, a symbol of iron, or the and
This is
that the
yeah, this is the Black Madonna is the dark matter of the brain, the
well,
dark
well, hold on
uh,
though. Guess
DNA.
guess what the number of the secret word is? It's 26.
No.
Uh, yeah,
Come
remember?
on.
I swear to God. Okay,
What?
so well that's funny because of that Conan the Barbarian movie. He's like, what do the riddle of steel?
Yeah. I
The
don't want to
riddle.
make the claim necessary that I'm right with the Lucifer thing, but what comes um, with this technocracy, it's not a golden age. I think it's an iron age.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all is so robotic and the music is so ironic, or,
So,
not ironic. The, it also metallic,
hmm.
robotic, and it is an iron age.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a symbol though of Mars.
Yeah, and Mars. Good point.
Um, Mars was
Mars is popular. Elon Musk, Mars bullshit.
what's
But
weird though because
Mars is in the field, no? In the consciousness, to say.
well, you know what the symbol of Mars damn it, the what was I gonna say? The symbol of Mars, damn it, I'm rolling another cigarette. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. The symbol of Mars. Oh, the pentacle. You know what the Elvish cross was?
Mm-hmm.
The Elvish cross was the pentacle,
Okay.
and like well, so it's like there was well, so if some culture had steel, uh, no one would ever find it because it would be
Iron is
valuable.
the base for steel, according
Yeah,
to Wikipedia.
well, that's why it's interesting because okay, so later on in the book it talks about the goddess or the Virgin Madonna, aka Mary, as being a symbol of iron, and then Jesus as a
Yeah.
symbol of carbon. That's why it
And
was
this
the
guy
Black
said,
Madonna.
this guy in this book said, the cornerstone was the, I don't know his words, the first, what did he said of matter?
Oh yeah,
The
the first
cornerstone
the
of the
first stone,
church was um
the first stone or the first matter.
the first matter. Yeah, and when iron is, according to Wikipedia, but I think this is right here, there, it's the uh it's of steel anyway. It's the base for steel.
Yeah, yeah,
The
iron and
structure
carbon.
for construction, infrastructure, and biological hemoglobin. Ah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
well, I think I think they're keeping the steel from people. They because remember about what Cooper says about the fire. The priesthood was started
Mhm.
by those who knew how to start a fire, and that the fire was the knowledge of starting a fire, a literal fire, was kept from the people because they could control the
Ah,
people.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
Told me it was sorry in the chat. It
well, then
was brought up.
go further in time. Go further in time to the Middle Ages, for example. He who controlled steel, the hardest steel, would
Mm-hmm.
was the arbiter of the most powerful thing, because steel was uh, very important back then. You know,
Look here,
'Cause-
it
well,
says
'cause-
on
well,
Wikipedia,
real quick,
iron has
because
been used since ancient times and is critical, high strength metal essentials for both industrial and biological applications. It
yeah,
sounds a little transhumanistic, doesn't it?
well, no, think of it like this: the steel the steel was the most powerful thing in the Middle Ages. That
Yeah.
whoever controlled the steel controlled the world, and so they had to keep the secret of the steel. preserved.
And here we have in the periodic table group 8, period 4.
Hmm.
And the number for transcension in gematria is, to my knowledge, 184 or 148.
Hmm.
I am just saying. And there's a lot to this periodic table stuff. When you are a little into this symbolic and its meanings, it makes a lot of sense when you look up the periodic table,
Yeah.
especially because this was uh,
Well,
the
plus,
the alchemists worked with the
yeah.
periodic table. It's were their Bible, so to say.
Well, plus the what's interesting because I'm kind of plus the during the French the guy that started the periodic table, who assigned the first 8 elements, he was guillotined by the Illuminati. Uh, he was an
Really?
alchemist. Yeah,
Come
he was guillotined.
on.
Uh,
Yeah, this is interesting.
yeah, they guillotined him and for being a scientist. That's why in the modern Illuminati, they're against science. Uh, they don't want science, and that everybody's being brainwashed to not want science, and that it's I mean, like one time, one of my friends who is an asshole, he I haven't seen him for like 15 years, but I had well, anyways, he said this thing. He said, "What if the GMO shit is all bullshit and it's all just to cut out all the lower businesses from I mean, I know it's not bullshit, but what if that's the thing where it's like, what if the people are uh, falsifying the data of GMOs to make it look like it's bad for you, and that the
Mm-hmm. Good
and
point.
that well, I mean, it goes along with how because in the one book when they're quoting Weishaupt and stuff, talking about being against luxury items, technology is a luxury item, uh, and that steel and that knowledge, any knowledge of these alchemists, such as the periodic table, was considered a luxury item to the Illuminists, and so the guy that invented the periodic table, he was labeled as a quote useless eater, and then he was
Oh,
executed.
oh,
That yeah,
why?
that's what people aren't getting. Uh, they're not understanding this part of the Illuminati conspiracy. Uh,
I don't neither. The Bavarian Illuminati, they were against. Do you mean this one? They were
yeah,
against things?
they were against technology and luxury items. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, and so the modern conspiracy theorist is not understanding the old books and the true goals of the Illuminati, and that and it all makes sense because of course the Illuminati would label an alchemist as a useless eater because the Illuminati is too profane to understand the alchemical gnosis. They're too profane.
no, no, I didn't notice.
Well, that's why the Illuminati runs fucking Islam because you can tell because Islam goes around smashing everything because Islam is profane. Uh, they smash everything that they don't understand. They smash religious relics of all religions. They destroy it. They are Illuminati. They are against. You know, they're like fucking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up. The conspiracy is
Mm.
fucked up. I mean, if because they're gonna fucking push the Islams everywhere and try to make it all fucking communist. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
this one I know. Yeah.
because it's all about the Nazis, because the Nazis were an extension of Illuminati, and that goes back to Cairo and
But
the
the were heavily into science.
that's the thing is that they were heavily into it, but it was like, oh, that's what's weird about it. That
This is Babylon working science. Yeah, okay. Maybe um yeah, I can
you do
understand
got
it.
a point. The Nazis were heavily into science,
Yeah, in occultism.
but I assume they were profane though. I mean,
Mm.
they got into weird science. They got into that weird 1800s shit with the all that race bullshit. All that fucking
Eugenics, but it's a
yeah,
science,
yeah, because they were misinterpreting the ancient stories, and that's dangerous because
of
the,
course.
like the whole 12 tribes things, it's not applicable because it was symbols. It was astrological symbols, and that there there may have been tribes that wore the banner as like a mascot, but it wasn't like a you know it's
Yeah, but it works unfortunately with the genetics. But back again to the
oh yeah.
point.
Well, back to this though.
Nazi were against science and against the alchemists, right?
Well, no, the Illuminati were
And the
the
Illuminati
yeah.
aga- against science. And why can you? I didn't understand. I didn't get it.
Oh, because it was a luxury item. Science is a luxury item, and that the Illuminati were against luxuries, and that after
Science.
France, well, after the French Revolution, they
He's
destroyed everything, and then all they had was bread, and so now they all hail that French bread is the greatest bread ever. But that's only because that's all they had to eat after the Illuminati desecrated their country. Uh,
I thought it was the opposite. Okay, interesting.
well,
Good to know.
the Illuminati, they c- they were the heads of the lodges of masonry in France, and that they convinced the people of France to destroy their own country, and they even convinced the members of the Masonic lodges to do so because the heads of the lodges were members, and they were showing the public fake notarized letters saying to do what the public did. They were showing fake orders from the king to the public, and that the public was acting upon it, and then destroying the cities, and then they what they did, they hammered the land, and then they harvested the spoils of war.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
King
Then
Louis's brother was in on it. Uh,
the people who think that Hitler was and the Nazis were the good guys came to this conclusion because the Nazis raided all of Masonic lodges as well, and they destroyed them. And
yeah.
so, oh, it's a good
Oh
thing.
yeah.
But no, they did it because they wanted their writings, their knowledge.
Well, it's like the
That's why.
Theosophists. So that's a good point because the Nazis did destroy the Masonic lodges, but then at the same time, the Nazis seem to have came from Theosophy. Uh, and the it's like
True. Yes, but most people don't know that. And unfortunately, because of this, um, this Hitler was the good guy. People worshipping Hitler. It's rising now. I hope
yeah,
not to this
it's like
extent it was, but the mindset, oh, Hitler was the good guy because he destroyed me in
well,
the book burning. The first books the
yeah,
Nazis was this transgender pedophile shit.
Well, before you
Oh,
jump subjects, well,
yeah.
well, hold on. Something very relevant to what you're saying. In 1742, Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote a book, and then it said that they would take two things that they would control from one place. And they call it the European Union in 1742 or whatever, and that uh, Hitler had made the European Union in succession of his through his Nazis, and that the
Yeah,
and
the
then
idea.
well,
Mm,
then to further it, that Jean Jacques Rousseau dude, he
mhm,
also said that they would rule with two opposing forces, and that the Nazis, aka National Socialists, and then the Russians, aka International Socialists.
mhm.
See, so
Yeah,
a national versus international socialism. Uh,
ah, you have globalists against the.
well, so then relevance to that of
Yeah, but
the
this mindset is the people don't think to the end, and I did it as well, didn't it as well, and would sort of say, oh, if the Masons are doing bad shit. When you get rid of it, it's a good thing.
well, I
But
mean,
there's
it's
a reason. They stole all their stuff and worked with it.
yeah, it's a complicated
See,
situation.
it's mafia against mafia, what we are seeing when there are real fights going on and not this Hegelian dialectic stuff. Yeah.
Well, the okay, so it's interesting because the the founding fathers of America knew that they knew the Illuminati's plan. I think they knew because perhaps Thomas Jefferson had told them, and that they were going against it. They didn't want socialism. They didn't want the abolition of technology. They didn't want people being cattle and subjects of authority, and that I mean it puts a huge mystery to the thing where it's because the history writers they don't have it all mapped out with the French Revolution and America and how uh, it was like on some things there was common ground after the French Revolution in the 1800s, but it seems as though well it seems as though I think because they were originally going to put the Statue of Liberty at the Suez Canal, which is in over by the Middle East, I'm pretty sure, and that the I don't know, it's no wait, wasn't the Suez Canal in what the fuck is the Suez Canal? Uh, isn't that in Mexico? Or am I stoned?
No, this is the Panama Canal.
Panama.
Panama Canal. Suez Canal is Israel and uh, Jordanian.
Oh, okay. It's in between Egypt.
And now we are dealing with the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. Well, so
This is
so
on the Iran side. Panama Canal is different. Yeah, this is in Mexico area.
it had to do with it had to do with uh
Stamp.
the Illuminists and their what is that called? Their damn it, I'm stoned. They're applying of they're applying of uh similar to Merovingian bloodline thing, where it's like because of the French Grand Orient Masons were also Jacobins or Jacobites or whatever, just like the House of Stuart of England, and just like the Illuminati, and that they were socialists, and that so it puts a spin on stuff where it's like part of England wanted socialism, France wanted socialism, and then but it's like certain other parts of the Illuminati, like the Carbonari, they didn't want socialism. They wanted a constitutional republic, and that this is before the Carbonari may have been compromised, but uh, like the 1700s, the Carbonari wanted a constitutional republic in Italy, and that it's well, as well as because there was two. What I'm getting at is there's two Illuminatis. One Illuminati wanted socialism. One
Mm-hmm.
Illuminati, the other one wanted Republican
Mm-hmm.
government, and so that's where it seems. So it seems over time. Uh, it seems over time that the Republic. Well, maybe we should
I
skip.
agree with you. Speaking of the Society of Cincinnati founding fathers,
Well,
and
well,
there were
officially,
different goals for America or different type of government as and go.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because when I read the book Thomas Paine, Common Sense, uh, the book, the writer was Thomas Paine. The book's called Common Sense. He did like quite a few quotes to Gideon. Well, there was at least one, but it was stating it was kind of like similar to General Washington. They were comparing. Well, he wasn't really comparing it, but it was like General Washington also says similar stuff where like Gideon didn't want to be the leader after he helped people conquer in the story, and that it's like General Washington didn't want to be the leader, and that it's like they wanted it set up so the people were the leaders, and so that's why they said every man would have the same rights as the King of England. Uh,
Yeah, there's just
and
that.
like
Can men rule themselves? Oh yes, we think men can rule themselves. That was a
yeah.
slogan as
Well,
well.
so then Weishaupt, it's like he didn't want mankind to have rights. He wanted people to be servants, the working class, permanently, while the Illuminati ruled at the top, the elect
Yeah, this was
politicians.
arrogant asshole who thought for himself he was something better and we are cattle.
Yeah, well, that's
Goyim.
how you know that there was two Illuminatis,
Ah,
and then
interesting.
because
Yeah.
okay, so and also further proof of this in the American Rosicrucian, which seemed to have been different from the European Rosicrucian. That they wrote the book 38th Convocation. They list 6 founding societies that founded America, and that they said one was the Order of the Illuminati, the Order of the Templars, the Order of Osiris, the Priesthood of Eath, the Order of the Magi, and then the last one was the what was the sixth one? The Order of Osiris. Wait, damn it, I'm missing one of them. Well, but
The
but
Order of Osiris, yeah, you
but
can
but,
see it in Washington, D.C. This is
but so
very,
it's
very,
well, my point though is that
yeah,
it's saying that there's Illuminati and alchemists that started the
with
country,
different ideas.
but at the same time though, it's not listing. Well, I think the last one was Templars, but it's
Mhm.
what? No, the last one is the Rosicrucian Order of the Rose Cross. but so it's not listing Freemason, because Freemason
Yeah.
was not, it's like that all the Masons will say like, oh, General Washington was a Mason, but it's like,
No.
well, he said he didn't frequent the lodge for 30 years, and that the John Adams condemned the Masonic oath, wrote a whole book about it, and that the
Yeah.
Jefferson was literally Illuminati. Uh,
They
ben,
were maybe more lodges or secret societies. A lot of these people were in this Freemason lodge and in this satanic order.
yeah,
And
well, so, so
the
it's interesting though.
symbol symbolism is not created by the Freemasons. It is eh, they took it over from the Templars and whatnot, right?
Yeah, well, so the the what was I gonna there's something more to what I was getting at. Yeah, I'm gonna roll another joint. I'm pretty stoned here.
Okay, then
Maybe it'll jog my memory.
I'm
But
pretty tired.
oh yeah, you're way.
Oh no.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
didn't sleep. I didn't sleep last night.
Oh
I don't
Jesus.
know. I'm restless. I have insomnia.
Hmm.
Mm, maybe the moon or the aliens.
The-
Oh, this is cool. Nowadays, you can blame all on the aliens.
uh, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
You able
so
to
I
smoke weed there? you
my
able
brain is cooking.
you able to smoke weed there?
No,
No, you can't smoke weed in Germany.
no.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
What? Jesus. Hmm. You better go move to Amsterdam or something.
Nobody cares. Yeah, no. You can you can do it, and um when police will catch you when it's only a little bit, they make nothing out of it. This is
Oh
allowed for the own consume. But when you trading or selling it, so this is not allowed.
yeah.
But it is not a big deal. But I
All right.
have to go to bed. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Well, we
And
we did a lot of covered a lot of subjects.
out of my mouth.
Oh yeah. Well, take it easy. I'm probably gonna
Yeah,
pass out too.
bye.
Peace. Oh, where'd my camera go? I'm just rolling another joint here. Probably the last joint for tonight. Yeah. So, what was I getting at with that stuff there? With the something about the France. Well, so maybe I'll get back to this. Yeah. Good night. Take it easy. Yeah. Okay. So at the center figure, remember I was talking about the labyrinth, the combat of Theseus and the Minotaur used to be seen. Yet another proof of the infiltration of pagan themes into Christian iconography, and consequentially of an evident mytho-hermetic meaning. However, it is not a matter of establishing any connection between these images and those famous constructions of antiquity, the labyrinths of Greece and Rome, the labyrinth of the cathedrals, or the labyrinth of Solomon, is Marcellin Bartholo tells us, a Kabbalistic figure found at the head of certain alchemical manuscripts, and which is part of the magic tradition associated with the name of Solomon. It is the series of concentric circles interrupted at the certain points so as to form a bizarre and inextricable path. Uh, the picture of the labyrinth is thus offered to us as an emblematic of the whole labor of the work, which is two major difficulties. One, the path which must be taken in order to reach the center, where the bitter combat of the two natures takes place. The other, the way which the artist must follow in order to emerge. It is there that the thread of Ariadne becomes necessary for him. If he is not to wander among the winding paths of the task, unable to extricate himself. My intention is not to write, as Batstorff did, a special treatise on the third. Wait, where's that? A special treatise on what this thread of Ariadne is, which enabled Perseus to fulfill his purpose. But in laying stress on the Kabbalah, I hope to furnish shrewd investigators with some precise information on the symbolical value of the famous myth. Ariadne, or Ariadne, is a form of Ariane, the spider. The widow. My metathesis of the Spanish H is pronounced G. Apoxin, the spider, can thus be read Arachne, 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 Arachnid. It is not our soul the spider, which weaves our own body, but this word appears in other forms. The verb eopu means to take, to seize, to draw, to attract, whence apov, I don't know, which takes, seizes, attracts. Thus, apov is the lodestone that virtue shut up in the body, which the wise call their magnesia. Let us continue. The provincial iron is called Iran or and Iran, according to the different dialects. This is the Masonic Hiram, the divine Ram, the architect of the Temple of Solomon. The Felibris remembers a society of writers founded in 1854 to preserve the provincial language. The Felibris called the spider Aragno or Uragno or Aragno. Kind of reminds me of Aragorn. Oh. Where's that? The Picard version is Aragni. Compare all that with the Greek eopos, I think. Eonpos. Wait, which may mean either iron or lodestone. Nor is this all. The verb apa, I don't know, means the rising star, the rising of a star from out of the sea. When Arian, the star which rises out of the sea, or Ariane, is thus the Orient. Oh. by permutation. If you don't know what, if that didn't just blow your mind, then fucking you haven't been following the expose of the Aryan race conspiracy and its connection with the Grand Orient Temple Freemasonry. That's my impression of a dog. Dogs are in the house. Oh, that's hilarious. The star which rises out of the sea, or Ariane, is thus Orient. I'm going to screenshot that shit. Man, this joint tastes good. Oh, damn it, I gotta get the whole thing here. Damn it. I wasn't planning on podcast this long tonight, but this book is just off the hook. Further, a pew is also a sense, the sense to attract. Thus, a poivre is also the lodestone. If we were to compare the word is given the Latin sidereus, a star. We shall recognize our provincial Arian, the Greek, the rising sun. Ariadne, the mystic spider, has escaped from Emians, leaving only the trace of her web on the paving stones of the choir. How does my camera keep freezing? Let us recall in passing that the most celebrated of the ancient labyrinths, that of Knossos of Crete, which was discovered in 1902 by Dr. Evans of Oxford, was called Absalom. We would point out that this term is close to absolute, which is the name by which the ancient alchemist designated the philosopher's stone. Also another term for God. All churches have their apse turned toward the southeast, their front towards northeast, while the transepts forming the arms of the cross are directed to the northeast and the northwest and the southwest. That is the invariable orientation, intended in such a fashion that the faithful and profane entering the church by the west walk straight to the sanctuary facing the direction in which the sun rises, i.e., the Orient, Palestine, or the cradle of Christianity. They leave the shadows and walk towards the light. As the consequence of this arrangement, one of the three rows windows which adorn the transepts of the main porch is never lighted by the sun. This is the north rose. If you don't know what I'm thinking right now about how this is very Masonic book. This is very Masonic book. It's crazy because I read like halfway through this before and I didn't catch a bunch of shit that I've already caught tonight in this book. In the Masonic Lodge, the north is the place of darkness. The sun never touches the north rose. Give me a break. Okay. This is just crazy. Aslam the lion. Okay. Yeah, so the north rose which glows on the facade and left the trees. Okay, blah blah blah. Uh, so the North Rose is never in the lodge, the Masonic Lodge. The North is a place of darkness. Remember that. The second one blazes in the midday sun. This is the Southern Rose, open at the end of the right transept. The last window is lit by the colored rays of the setting sun. This is the Great Rose, the Rose Porch, which surpasses its side sisters in size and brilliance. Thus, on the facade of the Gothic cathedral, the colors of the work unfold in the circular progression, going from the shadows, represented by the absence of light and the color black, to the perfection of ruddy light passing through the color white, considered as being the mean between black and red. In the Middle Ages, the central rose window of the porches was called rota, the wheel. Remember what? If you write rota in a circle, Rota, rota, or tarot, or in reverse, Torah, the wheel. The wheel is the alchemical hieroglyph of the time necessary for the concoction of the philosophical matter, and consequentially of the concoction itself. The sustained, constant, and equal fire, which the artist maintains night and day in the course of this operation, is for the reason called the fire of the wheel. Moreover, in addition to the heat necessary for the liquefaction of the philosopher's stone, the second agent is needed as well, called the secret or philosophic fire. It is this latter fire, sustained by ordinary heat, which makes the wheel turn and produces the various phenomena which the artist observes in his vessel, or crucible, or crucifix. Remember, this is all symbology. It's all symbology. The fire wheel. And it's also talking about. I think. Well, I'm gonna go on here. Okay, so the various phenomena which the artist observes in his vessel. Quote: I recommend you go. Recommend you to go by this road and no other. Only take notice of the tracks of my wheel, and in order to give an equal heat over all, do not rise or descend too soon to heaven or earth. For in rising too high, you will be burnt by heaven, and in descending too low, you will be destroyed by earth. But if your course remains set in the middle, the route will be plainer and the way more sure. Middle Earth. Huh. Well, that's weird. I wonder if the Lord of the Rings guy read this book. J.R.R. Tolkien. Thus, the rose alone represents the action of the fire and its duration. That is why the medieval decorators sought in their rose windows to translate the movements of matter, stirred up by the elementary fire, as may be seen in the north portal of Chartres Cathedral, and the roses of Toul, Saint Gendolt, of Saint Antoine of Champagne, etc. The preponderance of the fiery symbol the architecture of the 14th and 15th centuries neatly characterizes the last period of medieval art, has given rise to the name flamboyant Gothic for the style of the period. Let's see. Some roses, emblematic of certain compound, have a particular meaning, which underlines still further in properties of this substance, which the Creator has sealed with his own hand. This magic seal reveals to the artist that he has followed the right road and that the philosophical mixture has been prepared according to the canon law. It is the radiate figure with 6 points, the gamma, called the star of the Magi. This beams on the surface of the compound, that is to say, above the crib in which Jesus, the child king, lies. Hmm. And it's interesting because in the Temple of Solomon, they would hang pomegranates. Pomegranates have a 6 pointed star on it naturally. And then inside the pomegranate is a 5 pointed star, hence the seal of Solomon, 5 and 6 ratio, 6 to 5. Uh, among the building, which rep, among the buildings which present us with starred roses with 6 petals, a reproduction of the traditional Solomon seal. I would mention the Cathedral Saint John on the Church of Saint Bonaventure at Lyons, the rose windows of the portals, the Church of Saint Genjolt of Toul, the 2 roses of Saint Wolfran at Abbeville, and the Calend portal at the Cathedral of Rouen, the splendid blue rose of the Saint Chapelle, etc. Since this sign is the greatest is of the greatest interest to the alchemist, it is not the star which guides him and which announces to him the birth of the Savior. It would be useful here to collect certain texts recounting, describing and explaining its experience. I shall leave to the reader the task of making useful comparisons, of coordinating the versions, and of picking out the positive truth, which is combined with legendary allegory in these enigmatic fragments. Uh, Damn it, this joint's still going, so I guess I'm gonna read a little more. I'm gonna read that bottom part first. Convallaria polygonata, commonly called Solomon's seal, owes its name to its stem, the section of which is starred like the magic sign to King David. That's interesting. Okay, so Varro in the Antiquitates Rerum Hominorum recalls the legend of Aeneas saving his father and his household of gods from the flames of Troy, and after long wanderings arriving at the fields of Laurentum, uh, the goal of his journey, he gives the following explanation: Ex quo de Troja es aggressus Ianus Veneris eum per diem. So something of this talking about Trojan horse, Aggressus Venus, Veneris something diem. Oh, yeah, there's more. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hio to the stellum Vedici doni ad agrum Laurentum venir et in quo ern non vidit alterius. What is it, alterium modum quo recognavit terrace, recognize the land, something fatality, destiny. Okay, so here's a translation. After his departure from Troy, he saw every day and during the day the star of Venus, until he arrived at the fields of Laurentum, where he ceased to see it. This fact made him realize that these were the lands allotted by destiny. Whoa, that's very interesting. Damn it, Troy. That's very interesting. Here is the legend taken from the work entitled The Book of Seth, in which the 6th century author relates in these terms. I heard some people speaking of a writing, which, although far from certain, is not contrary to the faith and is rather agreeable to hear. It tells that a race existed in the Far East on the shores of the ocean, who possessed a book attributed to Seth, which spoke of a future appearance of this star and of the gifts which should be taken to the child, which prediction was given as transmitted from father to son by generations of wise men. They chose out 12 from the most learned among them, and from those most skilled in the mysteries of the heavens, and gave themselves up to waiting for this star. If one of them came to die, his son or a near relative who was in the same expectation was chosen to replace him. They were called in their tongue magi, because they glorified God in silence and in a low voice. Every year after the harvest, these men climbed up the mountain, which was called in their language Mount of Victory, which enclosed a cavern hewn out of rock, the pleasant on account of the streams and trees which surrounded it. When they arrived at the summit, talking about Petra, they washed themselves, prayed, and praised God in silence for 3 days. Wait, is this? Oh, this is interesting. A mountain with a natural stream or a natural water source. That isn't that was it Mount Ararat that had said to have had a natural spring for water? I'm pretty sure. Oh, that's very interesting. 3 days. Well, no, I think I don't know if Petra has one at the top. I know that there's another mountain, that place where Atlantis is supposedly at, the freshwater stream in the center, and uh, the Rakat structure that had a freshwater stream in the center. Well, this could all be just symbolic. 3 days. This is practiced in every generation, always waiting in case by chance the star of fortune should appear during their generation. Remember the word for star in Aramaic, Azir or Nazir. Then remember the word for the city where Jesus Nazireth, Nazir, the Prince of Peace. What was that here? The Star of Fortune. Mount of Victory, blah blah. It spoke to them. Wait, presenting the shape of a cross. It spoke to them, instructed them, and bade them depart for Judea. The star went before them 2 years, and neither bread nor water was ever lacking on their journey. What they did next was reporting briefly in the Gospel. The shape of the star was different according to the other legend, and the age of which is unknown. During the journey, which lasted 13 days, the Magi took neither rest nor food. They did not feel any need, and this period seemed to them not to last more than a day. The nearer they came to Bethlehem, the brighter the stars shone, It had the form of an eagle flying through the air and moving its wings. Above it was a cross. The following legend entitled some events which took place in Persia at the time of the birth of Christ is attributed to Julius Africanus, a chronicler of the 3rd century, although the actual date of it is unknown. The scene takes place in Persia in a temple of Juno, built by Cyrus. The priest announces that Juno has conceived. All the statues of the gods dance and sing at the news. A star descends and announces the birth of a child, the beginning and the end. All the statues fall down in their faces to the ground. The Magi announces that the child is born at Bethlehem and advise the king to send ambassadors. Then Bacchus appears and predicts this child will drive out all of the false gods. Departure of the Magi, guided by the star. At Bethlehem, they greet Mary, have a portrait of her with the child painted by a skillful slave, and place it in their chief temple with this inscription: to Jupiter, to Jupiter Mithra, the great God, the King Jesus, Persian Empire makes this dedication. The light of this star, writes St. Ignatius, surpassed that of all the others. Its brilliance was ineffable, and its novelty was such that all those who looked at it were struck with astonishment. The sun, moon, and the stars formed a choir around this star. Huganus A. Barma, in the practice of his work, uses the same term to describe the matter of the great work in which the star appears. Take some real earth, he says, well impregnated with the rays of the sun, the moon, and the other stars. Uh, in the 4th century, the philosopher Chalcidius, who, as Malachius, the last of his editors, says, taught that the gods of Greece, the gods of Rome, and the gods of foreigners should be adored, has preserved a record of the star of the Magi and the explanation for it given by the wise. After having spoken to the star called Ekh, AHC, by the Egyptians, which announces bad fortune, he adds, there is another and more venerable story which attests that the rising of a certain star announced not sickness or death, but the descent of the venerable God, for the grace of conversation with man and for the advantage of mortal affairs. The wisest of the Chaldeans, having seen this star while journeying through the night, as men perfectly versed in the contemplation of celestial things, sought, it is told, for the recent birth of a god, and having found the majesty of this child, they rendered to him the vows fitting to such a great god. This is much better known to you than to others. Diodorus of Tarsus shows himself even more explicit when he affirms that this star is not one of those which people in the heavens, but a certain virtue or Urano Diomal, a force, having assumed the form of a star in order to announce the birth of the Lord among us. St. Luke, second book, verses 8 through 14, or maybe second chapter. Quote, and there were the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, an angel of the Lord came, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. The angel said, fear not, I bring you good tidings of great joy. Blah, 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 for unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ, blah, blah, and it shall be sign unto you. ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling cloths, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was an angel multitude of the heavenly host praising, blah blah. Damn it, more Bible quotes. Now then, Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, the days of Herod the king. Behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born the King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, go and search diligently for a young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come to worship also. When they had heard the king, how many more verses is this? They heard the king departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came stood. Blah blah blah. When they saw the star, they rejoiced. Blah blah. Blah blah. You all know the story. Presented him with frankincense and myrrh, gold. I could have sworn there was something else too. Speaking of such strange happenings, and faced with the impossibility of attributing the cause of them to any celestial phenomenon, A. Bonatti, struck with the mystery which envelopes these narratives, asks, who are these magi, and what is one to think of this star? That is what rational critics and others are wondering at this moment. It is difficult to reply to these questions because ancient modern rationalism and ontologism draw their knowledge from their own resources. excuse me. Uh, have made one forget all the means by which the ancient peoples of the East preserved their primitive traditions. We find the first reference to the star at the mouth of Balaam. That's funny. I was just mentioning that earlier. Balaam. That's the donkey. Well, if it isn't a talking donkey. Or wait, I might be getting mixed up. The latter is said to have been born. Let me just. Where's the fucking mouse at? Balaam. I'm pretty sure it was a donkey. Yep. Balaam was the bad guy. Okay, the donkey had a different name. What the fuck was the donkey's name? Okay, so let's go back here. We find the first reference to the star at the mouth of Balaam. The latter, who is said to have been born in the town of Pethor on the Euphrates, lived, they say, around the year 1477 BC. At the center of the rising Assyrian Empire, Balaam, prophet or mage in Mesopotamia, cries out, quote, how shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? Or how shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not high. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and the scepter shall rise out of Israel. This symbols, remember. The scepter would be I'm not gonna give that. In symbolic iconography, the star is used to indicate conception as well as birth. The Virgin is often represented with the nimbus of the stars. The Virgin at Larmor forms part of a fine triptych representing the death of Christ and suffering of Mary, Mater Dolorosa. In the sky of the central composition can be seen the sun, moon, and stars, and scarf of iris. The Virgin holds in her right hand the large star, Maris Stella, an epithet given to her in the Catholic hymn. G.W. Witowski describes for us a very curious stained glass window which used to be near the sacristy of the old church of St. John at Rouen, now destroyed. This window showed the conception of Saint Romain, his father Benoit, Councillor of Clothaire II, and his mother Felicity were laying in bed completely naked in accordance with the custom which lasted until the middle of the 16th century. The conception was shown by a star which shone on the coverlet in contact with the belly of the woman. The borders of this window, which was already strange enough on account of its main motif, were ornamented with medallions on which one could see, not without surprise, the figures of Mars, Jupiter, Venus, etc., and so that there should be no doubt about their identity. The figure of each deity was accompanied by its name. Uh, Damn it. I'm pretty tired, but maybe I'll read a couple more pages. Damn it, it's pretty late. Well, I guess I'll go a little bit more here. Just as the human soul has its hidden recesses, so the cathedral has its secret passages. They extended underground. Maybe I can just stand up while I read them. Extended underground below the church, and taken all together, they formed the crypt. From the Greek, krutos, or hidden. This is a low, damp, cold place. The observer experiences a strange. I need to hit my inhaler. Experiences a strange. Where's the mouse? Feeling, and one which imposes silence. It is the feeling of power combined with darkness. We are here, the abode of the dead, as the Basilica of Saint Denis, burial place of the famous, as in the Roman catacombs, cemetery of the Christians, paving stones, marble, mausoleums, tombs, historical debris, fragments of the past abound. A heavy silence fills the vaulted space. A thousand outside noises, vain echoes of the world, do not reach us here. We are about to issue forth into the caves of the Cyclops. Ah, that's just like the symbolic story of Odysseus uh, going to the island of the dead and blinding the Cyclops and escaping death, which then was him escaping the land of the dead, Odysseus cheating death, aka Odysseus, another Jesus like story with the cheating of death. We're threshold of the Dantean Inferno, or beneath subterranean galleries, so welcoming, be hospitable to the first martyrs. All is mystery, anguish, and fear in the obscure retreat. Remember, the Cyclops is also a giant. Uh, Around us are numbers of enormous pillars, sometimes in pairs, standing on their broad chamfered bases, short capitals only slightly projecting, squat and unpretentious, rough, worn shapes in which elegance and richness gives place to solidarity, thick muscles contracted under the effort, which untiringly share the formidable weight of the entire building. Nocturnal will, silent, rigid, strained, and eternal resistance to being crushed. Material power which the builder knew how to direct and distribute by giving to all these members the archaic aspect of the herd of fossilized pachyderms joined to each other, rounded but rounding their bony backs, hollowing their stone chests under the pressure of the excessive burden, real but occult, power which is exercised in secret, develops in the darkness, toils without respite in the deep foundations of the work. That is the dominant impression felt by the visitor when going through the galleries of the Gothic crypt. Formerly, the subterranean chambers of the temple served as the abodes and statues of Isis, which at the time of the introduction of Christianity into Gaul became those black virgins which the people in our day surround with quite special veneration. Their symbolism is, moreover, identical. Both the one and the other bear the same famous inscription on the base, Virgini Perituri, to the virgin about to give birth. Uh, C.H. Bagami tells us of several statues of Isis described in the same way. Already, says the learned Pierre de Jals, the Bibliography General L'Occult, the scholar Elias Shadius, in his book De Dictis Germanics, had pointed out the similar inscription. A city su Virgini ex qua filius predatorius est. So these icons appear to have none of the Christian meaning ascribed to them. At any rate, exoterically, Isis before the conception is, says Bigar, an astronomical theogony, that tribute of the Virgin which several monuments considerably prior to Christianity describe under the name of Virgo Puratura, that is to say, the earth before its fecundation, which the rays of the sun are soon going to bring to life. She is also the mother of the gods, as is attested by the stone at D. Matri Deum, Magna Idea. Esoteric meaning of our black virgins cannot better be defined. They represent in Hermetic symbolism the virgin earth, which the artist must choose as the subject of his great work. It is the first matter in the mineral state. As it comes out of the ore bearing strata deeply buried under the rocky mass, it is, as the texts tell us, a heavy, brittle, friable black substance, which has the appearance of a stone, and like a stone can shatter into minute fragments. Thus it appears to be the rule that the personified hieroglyph of this mineral possesses its special color, that is, the subterranean parts. The temples are reserved as its dwelling places. Nowadays, black virgins are not numerous. I will mention a few, all of whom enjoy great celebrity. Cathedral of Chartres is, he's talking about statues. The Cathedral of Chartres is best endowed with its respect. There's two of them, one called by the expressive name Notre Dame sous terre, a lady underground. In the crypt it is seated on a throne, whose pedestal bears the inscription mentioned above, Virginie Perituriae. The other one outside, called Notre Dame de Pilier, Our Lady of the Pillar, occupies the center of the niche filled with the ex votos in the form of burning hearts. The latter, Witkowski tells us, is the object of devotion of a great number of pilgrims. In early times, adds this author, the stone column which supports it was worn away by the licks and bites of its fervent worshippers, like the foot of St. Peter in Rome, or the knee of Hercules, which the heathen worshipped in Sicily. But in order to preserve it from too ardent kisses, in 1831, it was given a wooden surround. Chartres with the underground Virgin ranks as the most ancient of all the places of pilgrimage. There's a picture. Yes, there's one of them. At first, it was just an ancient statuette of Isis sculpted before Christ, as ancient local chronicles tell. At any rate, our present figure dates only from the very end of the 18th century. The one of the goddess Isis having been destroyed at the same unknown date and replaced by a wooden statue, in which she holds her child on the lap. This was burnt in 1793. As for the Black Virgin of the Notre Dame of Puy, whose limbs are not visible, she assumes the shape of a triangle, with her high-necked gown falling to her feet without a fold. The material is decorated with vine, plants, and ears of corn, symbolizing the bread and wine of the Eucharist. Remember that Bacchus also wanted grain and wine, and allows the child's head crowned as sumptuously as the mother's to appear waist height. Notre Dame de Confession, famous Black Virgin of the Crypts of Saint Victor of Marseilles, offers us a fine specimen of ancient statuary, large and lithe. This figure, full of nobility, holds a scepter in her right hand and has her forehead encircled with a triple flowered crown. Notre Dame of Rocamadour, which by 1166 was already the site of the famous pilgrimage, is the miraculous Madonna, the origin of which is attributed to the Jew Zacchaeus, head of the publicans of Jericho. This statue dominates the altar of the Virgin Chapel, built in 1479. It is a wooden statue, blackened by time, wrapped in a robe of silver scales, the worm-eating remains of which are still preserved. The celebrity of Rocamadour goes back to the legendary hermit Saint Amateur, or Amador, who carved a wooden statuette of the Virgin, to which numerous miracles were attributed. It is said that Amateur was the pseudonym of the publican Zacchaeus, who had been converted by Jesus Christ. When Zacchaeus came to Gaul, he propagated the cult of the Virgin. The one of the Rocamadour is very ancient, but the great vogue of the pilgrimage dates only to the 12th century. At Vichy, veneration of the Black Virgin dates back to all antiquity, as the parish priest Antoine Gravier reported in the 17th century. Archaeologists give this sculpture a 14th century date, and since the oldest parts of the church of St. Blaise, where it stands, were not built until the 15th century, Abbe Allet, who describes the statue, thinks it was formerly to be found in the St. Nicholas Chapel, founded in 1372 by Guillaume de Hames. The church of Guadet at Quimper, still called Notre Dame de la Cité, also possessed a Black Virgin. Camille Flammarion tells us of a similar statue, which he saw in the vaults of the observatory of September 24th, 1871, 2 centuries after the first thermometric observation was made there. The terrace and balustrade of the colossal Louis XIV edifice, he writes, rise 28 meters above ground level, and its foundation go down the same distance, 28 meters. At the center of one of the subterranean galleries, the statuette of the Virgin may be seen, which was placed there the same year, 1671. Verses engraved at her feet invoke her by the name of Our Lady Underground, this little known Virgin of Paris, who personifies in the capital the mysterious subject of Hermes, appears to be a replica of the one at Chartres, the Blessed Lady Underground. Another detail useful to the Hermeticists is that the ceremonial prescribed by the processions of the Black Virgins, only green colored candles were burnt. Green, such as the green language. As for the statuettes of Isis, I am speaking of those which escaped being Christianized These are even rarer than the black virgins. Perhaps one should seek the reason for this in the high antiquity of these icons. Witkowski describes one which was housed in the Saint Etienne Cathedral at Metz. The stone figure of Isis, writes the author, 43 centimeters high, 29 centimeters broad, came from the old cloister. The high relief projected 18 centimeters. It represented the naked bust of a woman, but was so thin that, to make use of a picturesque phrase of Abbe Brantome, quote, she could not show anything but the outline, end quote. Her head was covered with a veil. Two dried up breasts hung down from her chest, like those of the Dianas of Ephesus. The skin was colored red, and drapery covering the figure was black. Similar statues were to be found at Saint Germain des Prés and Saint Etienne at Lyons. At any rate, what remains for us is the fact of the cult of Isis. Remember that the saggy titties, the statue of uh, the, that one statue from France or whatever, some kind of coffin lid. That, anyways, the Egyptian series is very mysterious. We only know the feast of the goddess was solemnly celebrated every year after Osiris, and that the bull was sacrificed to her. And by the way, the statue with the saggy titties is a symbol of a woman who just gave birth. Because, well, well, anyways, the Herodotus says tens of thousands of men and women, when its sacrifice is over, beat their breasts, in whose honor, however, I do not feel it proper for me to say. Well, that's bizarre. Why not? The Greeks, as well as the Egyptians, preserved absolute silence on the mysteries of the cult of Ceres, and the historians have not told us anything which could satisfy our curiosity. The revelation of the profane, of the secret of these practices, was punishable by death. It was even considered a crime to lend an ear to its divulgence. Entry to the temple of Ceres, following the example of the Egyptian sanctuaries of Isis, was regularly forbidden to all those who had not received the initiation. However, the information transmitted to us about the hierarchy of the great priests allow us to conclude the mysteries of Ceres must not have been the same order as those of the Hermetic science. Indeed, we know that the ministers of the cult were divided into 4 degrees: the Hierophant, whose task was to instruct the neophytes; the Torchbearer, who represented the sun; the Herald, who represented Mercury; the Minister of the Altar, who represented the moon. Oh, excuse me. The Herald, who represented Mercury; the Minister of the Altar, who represented the moon. In Rome, the Ceralia were celebrated on April 12th and lasted for a week. Ha 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 ha. The processions, an egg was carried out, the symbol of the world, and the pigs were sacrificed. What's April 12th plus a week? Can anybody count that? That's April 19th. Uh, it's very bizarre. I'm gonna have to screenshot that. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's April 19th. It's very bizarre. And this one, the Boston Massacre started on that day. Same as a bunch of other crazy shit. I've already mentioned the stone die representing Isis refer to her as the mother of the gods. The same epithet was applied to Rhea or Sibyl. Two goddesses are thus shown as being nearly related, and I would tend to consider them merely as different expressions of one of the same principle. That's true. M. Charles Vincent confirms this opinion. The description gives bas relief featuring Sibyl, seen for centuries on the outside of the parochial Church of Pens, Buches de Rhone. Its inscription, Matriot DM. This curious piece, he tells us, disappeared only around 1610, but it is engraved at Grasson's Recule. It is the curious hermetic analogy that Sibyl was worshipped at Pessinonte in Phrygia, the form of black stone, which is said to have fallen from heaven. Phidias represents the goddess seated on the throne between two lions, having her head a mural crown. Remember that the Sibyl was just another version of Isis, from which hangs the veil. Sometimes she is represented holding a key, sometimes to draw back her veil, and seeming to draw back her veil. Isis, Ceres, and Sibyl are three heads under the same veil. Damn it. I don't think I want to go through another chapter. Damn it. This is getting interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to pass out here. I can't stay up. Alright, well, I'll continue later. For another day. Alright, peace out. Thanks for hanging out. Smash the like button. That sounds lame to say that. Yeah, also, yeah, alright, well, I'm going to sleep. Peace out. Good luck to all. And to all, have a merry good night. Okay, peace.